The following show is brought to you by the CANUCKLEHEADS Broadcasting Company, eh? All right, and we are live. Welcome everybody to another episode of the CANUCKLEHEADS Show, episode 9, as a matter of fact. My name is Frankie, and I am from the New West Reset Show.
And I'm Chris from Old World Exploration.
So thank you, everybody, for joining us here for another episode of the show. We're looking at old Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, and the island itself for the show today. So thanks for joining us, everybody. And hey, Chris, how you doing there? How you doing there, my buddy?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's a bit of a jaunt to be looking into PEI and Charlottetown. It's a bit of a ways away from where I am, that's for sure. So I really enjoyed looking into this location.
Yeah. I was slightly familiar with the area, being originally a Quebecer. Never had the pleasure of being in person, being to Charlottetown, but heard a lot about it in school as part of our founding of Canada as a country earlier on in our history. And found some interesting stuff just in researching it for the show today, too, actually. And it's a beautiful place, beautiful part of the country. But you and I are both out west, right? Is kind of the point that it's far. You're right. It's quite a jaunt, as you put it, way out there in the East Coast and in the Maritimes there, eh?
Yeah, I love to go visit PEI. You know, my impression of it is red soil, potatoes, and lobsters was my preconceived notion. So
yeah, it's kind of like Canada's Maine.
Yeah.
Home of Anne of Green Gables,
which apparently they're about to revamp.
Yeah, so there's that. That's pretty good. But you're right. You know, Canada's so huge, right? And we kind of forget that from coast to coast to coast, Canada's massive as a landmass. Not huge population-wise necessarily, except for in a few pockets.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of the idea of the show, is because even as Canadians ourselves, you and I, you're in British Columbia, I'm here in Alberta. But because the country's so big, there's surprises even as Westerners looking east, or Easterners looking west, or looking into the center of Canada in the Great Plains, you know, in the prairies. And that was kind of the idea behind the whole show, right? Was just to kind of say, you know, Canada's kind of underrepresented in this line of research. And let's do this show and kind of put Canada kind of front and center and show people that what they're seeing all over the realm in what we're told are ancient parts of the world are mirrored in what we're told are some of the newest parts of the New World.
Yeah, that's well said, Frankie. I think it's important. It also helps us get a little bit more of a grasp of our country, and to showcase that to people who may not know anything about this fine land of ours. Let's say.
That's right, because as we're finding out about it, as we're finding out about it, we're sharing it kind of in real time, right? Like, yeah, we each do our own individual separate little research on it, and then we coordinate before the show and so on. But I mean, there's surprises that we're sharing with each other live, and then sharing with everybody live in the chat. And speaking of which, hello to everybody in the chat. Why don't you, to everybody who's tuning in, say hi. Let us know you're here and listening, and let us know where you're tuning in from. And as a reminder, we are broadcasting live simultaneously on Old World Exploration on Chris's channel, as well as New West Reset, my channel. And I'm also mirroring or broadcasting on the Rumble as well. So yeah. So welcome to everybody who's joining on Rumble and YouTube, all the channels.
I see Kathy. I see Billy Philly. I see Curtis 47. Scott Baker. Mr. Beast fan.
Yeah, Turtle's here.
Sherry.
Mr.
Yeah.
Beast fan. Modoc's here. Hidden at plain sight. Marit. Yeah, Billy Philly. There's Joe. How you doing? Kathy Childers in the box. Hello, hello. Yeah, there's Curtis. I see him. There he is.
Yeah.
Scott Baker trying to sneak in. I saw you.
Uh,
Gary Ives, welcome. Morgan, Isabella Live 2.0. Howdy, howdy.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this. Old World Nick
Oh.
box. Excellent. Speaking of Prince Edward Island, big concentration of First Nations Mi'kmaq there in Prince Edward Island.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thanks everybody for joining. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. And or thumbs down. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's fine.
We're easy that way.
We're pretty laid back, eh? A couple of Canadians, eh? We're nice. We're polite.
Yeah. Well, we're snowed in as well right now. Snowed
That's
in.
right. Yeah.
A couple feet.
Yeah, we're talking about that before we went live. We're both coming out of right around minus 40, minus 50 Celsius with wind chill, deep freeze. Finally creeping up back towards 0 Celsius and maybe even to the plus as we move along the next few days. You never know.
Yeah. I see Mark from Our Melted Reality in the chat there. Hey, Mark. Good to see you there.
Howdy, howdy. There he is. Yes, welcome.
Yeah, we had a green Christmas, and now all of a sudden we've got a couple feet of snow and nice cold weather. So look at that.
Yeah, we had a warm Christmas, but there was snow. It had snowed a day or two before, and it wasn't quite warm enough to melt what had accumulated, but it didn't snow at Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then it was long gone, and then we didn't get a lot of snow until just recently. We got kind of a 1-2 punch. Old man winter kind of snuck in a sucker punch on us here. We got a couple of days worth, and then it stopped for a few days, and then a couple more days worth, and then the deep freeze hit, so it didn't really melt.
Yeah, all the roads stay icy. Makes for difficult driving. Lots of accidents on the roads. Yeah, around these parts anyway.
Makes it difficult for building old world buildings too.
No, that's not true.
If you wind the calendar or the clock back 150 years or so, where you got 4 to 7 months of winter.
Are you underestimating how hardy these folk were, Frankie?
Hey, I have no doubt that they were hardy, and I have no doubt that there was some skilled craftsmanship going on, and that there was some high-level construction skill set. Absolutely. But, when you've got a town that when it was founded had a population of 500 people, how many of them were skilled construction workers that could erect these massive stone and brick buildings in these short time periods out in these small pioneering towns in our Canadian history, early in the official narrative, right?
I'd say everybody and their dog we're in the construction trades.
Right. Excuse me, Mrs. McConnelly, how old's your daughter there? Why, she's 6, old enough to swing a hammer. Get over here and help us build this schoolhouse, kid.
We need her up on the steeple.
So, that's where the child labor and the orphan trains comes in handy, I guess. I don't know. It's terrible, but it's terrible.
Let's get back on track. Let's get
the show on the road here. What do you think? Let's maybe we'll start it off with showing the fine folks where exactly we're talking about when we mention Prince Edward Island in general, I guess, really.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a pretty small place. Let me just pull it up on the Goggle Maps here, just to give everybody an idea of what's happening, where we are. It's just warm enough where I have my window open a little bit.
Okay, here we
which
go.
I haven't been able to do for about a week. So even though it's cool or cold-ish outside, it's nice to get some fresh air in here. Yeah, so here we go. Here's Canada land, and the area we're looking at is right. It's so small at first that it comes up as PE, not even PEI.
Yeah.
But yeah, Prince Edward Island right here. Lovely, lovely. Beautiful part of the country, right in this sort of natural bay, very close to Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia, and connected to the mainland. Is it by New Brunswick or Nova Scotia?
It looks like New Brunswick, yeah.
Yeah.
And Maritimes, all part of what we call the Maritimes, right? Here?
Yeah. Right. Southeast of Quebec. And I don't know, jury's still out on whether Labrador is part of Newfoundland, which is a province, or Labrador is a territory. Like Nunavut and Yukon and the Northwest Territories. I don't know.
We'll figure it out eventually.
It depends on what source you use, I think. But let's quickly also look at Charlottetown on the Wikipedia page, and maybe see, just to give us an idea.
It's the capital city, right, of the province, of course.
Yeah, it's the capital city of Prince Edward Island, Charlottetown. It's an old city, and it's a beautiful little city. And you can even just see by the photo on the side panel here on the Wikipedia page itself. It has that very familiar, or what to a lot of Canadians is very familiar, is that maritime or East Coast sort of fishing town or small fishing village look, with the brightly colored houses that are maybe one or two streets off of the fishing ports and the wharfs and all of that.
It reminded me a bit of Norway too, Norwegian feel there.
Yeah, well, yeah. Whether it's fishing towns in Iceland or Norway, or whether it's here in Canada, like St. John's or parts of Halifax, or, for example, here, Charlottetown, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, here it is, Charlottetown. It's the capital and the largest city, Canadian province of Prince Edward Island. It is the county seat of Queen's Country, or county, sorry. Named after Queen Charlotte. Charlottetown was an unincorporated town until it was incorporated as a city in 1855. It was the site of the famous Charlottetown Conference in 1864, which was the first gathering of Canadian and maritime statesmen to discuss the proposed maritime union. This conference led instead to the union of British North American colonies in 1867. Basically, when Canada became Canada, which was the beginning of Canadian Confederation. There you go. Prince Edward Island, however, did not join Confederation until 1873. From this, the city adapted its motto, Canubula Theodorus. Please excuse my bludgeoning of Latin. That didn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense that they hosted this meeting, but they decided to wait 6 years to join.
What the hell is even that?
Right? Where you're good enough to host, but not good enough to be part of the group.
Well, apparently. Or too good. One of the two. Yeah.
Oh, poor Prince Edward Islanders. Come on, man. Yeah, you can host. You can clean up after the party, but you're not allowed to actually join the party at the night before. But you can come at 6 a.m. and clean up all the barf and everything from the party.
Maybe it's because they had a nice old world venue, and we'll be taking a look at that one later. That was built so early on.
Yeah, maybe it was like we got this nice building we found. We got to use it for something. How about we have a bunch of powdered wigs come in here, have some meetings? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, I was telling Frankie before we came on, I pictured Charlottetown to be a decent sized city, 200,000 or so type of people. Small capital, provincial capital city is what I thought. So just wanted to throw that in there.
It's got a really, really early history, even by Canadian standards. I mean, Canada land goes back to 1640-ish, there and abouts. And that's if you don't really include the whole Viking story. But even here, 1720, I mean, that's getting pretty long in the tooth.
It is, yeah.
I mean, it's the usual thing, right? The East was, French Canadian settlers, Acadians, which eventually became the Cajuns, after they were kicked out when the British took over. Get out of here, filthy Frenchmen. So they eventually found their way to Louisiana, but that's a whole other show. But they go through the usual. They build a star fort on there, which they probably just found. And it's becomes part of the coastal defense once they join Confederation. But it's always been pretty small.
Yeah.
And it's mostly been kind of agrarian, like very sort of farm oriented. There's been fishing, of course, and shipbuilding, but not like St. John's, Newfoundland. That was sort of the shipbuilding hub in early Canadian history, as far as the big, steamships and ocean liners and stuff, right?
Yeah, which we did look at in the previous installment of Knuckleheads.
Yeah, yeah. So it's always had this kind of, it's this little farming communities on this little farming island. But then meanwhile, they host like one of the biggest, political gatherings in Canadian history that helps to form the country. So it's just that strange, odd duality in the story, right? But eventually they get her going out there, and they actually have their own railroad at one point, which I thought was, I was like, wait a second, it's a tiny island.
He didn't tell us the population.
Oh, did I skip over the population?
Yeah, you got it. We got to talk about population because I don't know.
I totally. I'm sorry.
That's
about
what I
that.
start my videos with. So I like to tell people how many people were supposedly living there at the time, right?
Yeah,
that's why I mentioned my assumption, right? My assumption of a couple 100,000 people.
Well,
I was way off. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and that totally. I don't know why, because I normally like to do the same thing as well. Let me just get back to that. I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
I blew right past it.
There it is. There. Look at.
Because again, and we were talking about this before the show, is we're taught, even in in Canadian schools, that it was important as part of Canadian Confederation and the founding of the country, and it's an old city even by Canadian standards. So you'd figure, okay, well, it's been in there a while. It's got to be a lot of people there, but no. The most we've ever had is not even 40,000 here.
Yeah.
Right?
That's in the modern day, right?
Yeah, modern day. Well, 2021, 38,000. Say 39,000.
So we're looking at buildings that are built in around 1900, right? Right in that.
Yeah,
range.
we're looking at sort of the 10,000. They even dropped a bit here, but let's say anywhere from 10 to 12,000 will be generous.
Booming metropolis.
Yeah, important enough to be a piece of the puzzle, an important piece of the puzzle that builds the foundation for what would become Canada. But
that would be less than 10,000 people at that time.
Yeah, but just so tiny.
Tiny.
So tiny.
Yeah, so it surprised me. It really did surprise me.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me on that, because but that just goes to further sort of
well, it magnifies the difficulty in believing a lot of these structures were just
it goes to further push what I was just about to talk about too, is the railway.
Yeah.
It's such a small island.
Yeah.
But they had their own independent railway. I mean, eventually it was joined when they built that bridge to the mainland, but it was for decades before that was its own independent railway. So this tiny island had its own independent railway system. Steam engines. So construction began in 1871, but costs almost bankrupt the government by the next year. Problem that helped pave PEI's entrance in Confederation. That was part of the stipulation to join Confederation and be officially part of Canada. Was you had to have your own railway. A province had to have a railway that could be joined somehow to the national rail system that was being built from east to west and west to east.
Yeah, a little unfair to ask an island to do with that,
Right? Especially such a small island.
Yeah.
It's like this island is smaller than some, the area of some city or town limits, but you better have your own railroad.
Yeah.
So they almost went bankrupt, and the government of Canada itself had to step in basically and take over to finish construction, and financing it, and basically took over ownership of it for a while. But yeah, they had their own. This tiny little island had its own independent railway system. It was considered joined to the mainland because of the ferry system that went between the island and the mainland before the bridge was built. But sheesh, man.
Yeah.
You're right. Kind of, I mean, I could see, you got to build a railroad through Saskatchewan. Okay, not that tough. But building it on an island, it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, the resources are.
It's everything's got to be. You asked before the show, did they have brick, and did they have brick factories and that there? And they did. They're kind of one of the things PEI is known for is its red soil. But because they're on an island, they don't have like steel foundry. I mean, you know what I mean? It wasn't an industrial.
No, of course not.
City.
Yeah.
The entire area is farmland, basically, except for a few towns, and then the city of Charlottetown itself. I mean, the only reason Charlottetown is the capital is because it's basically by default.
Well, yeah, maybe it was just sitting there, ready to be uncovered.
Well, there's definitely parts of it that stick out like a sore thumb, I think was the term I used before we went live, right? I mean, some of these buildings are just baffling.
I did see a comment said, "Start with the Whoppers." We're building suspense here. You got to stick around if you want to see the Whoppers.
You don't want to just. It's like a game of Beer Hunter, eh? You don't want to just blow the whole thing in the first shot, eh? You gotta like kind of slowly build up the tension a little bit, eh?
Yeah, we'll get there.
But speaking of, I got a question for you, Chris. It's I don't know, quiz time. Knucklehead quiz.
All right.
Knucklehead quiz time for Chris.
I'm a little nervous, but go ahead.
What is Prince Edward Island famous for? Potatoes. That is absolutely right. Wait, what did you say? Potatoes?
Potatoes.
That's wrong. You're absolutely incorrect, sir.
Oh, man.
They're famous for having the most racetracks per capita than anywhere else in Canada.
What?
And that's some odd. Of the most in North America.
That is odd.
And I'm not talking about your fancy newfangled modern racetracks for them vroom vroom automobiles now. I'm talking about old-timey racetracks going back to the 1850s that were oval tracks for them. They're horse racing there, boy. Horse racing, you see.
You mean back when there was 5,000 people living on the island? Or?
Back when there was 3,000 to 5,000 people on the island, they had more horse racing oval tracks than you could shake a bloody stick at. That's
strange.
Yeah. When I saw this, I was like, that doesn't make sense.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
Something ain't right indeed, my gloriously bearded brother.
Yeah, well, they should have been busy putting up all these old world buildings, and I guess they had time to go to their races and gamble their hard-earned wages away. I don't know.
Because I guess potato farming is so easy and it's not laborious in any way that you have plenty of time to go to the racetrack and spend the afternoon in one of these glorious grandstands watching the horses.
It is strange.
You know, and not just the racetracks in the summer, which still are going, by the way. Some of these are over, 100, 150 years old. But even in the winter, they just take the wheels off and put hook up the sleigh instead and have horse racing with sleighs.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Like many countries, reports of early horse racing which involved match racing prior to any form of organized races, were also found in PEI in the early 1800s.
Weird.
Organized harness racing made its first appearance in 1850 in Charlottetown, when ice races were conducted on a 1-mile circuit on the Charlottetown Harbor.
What?
Move the ships out of the way. The harbor's going to freeze so we can race our horses on here. By the 1870s, clay tracks appeared in rural areas and around both Summerside and Charlottetown, while by the next decade, tracks had sprung up in most rural communities around the island. Let me say again, most rural communities. Every little bunyuk little town in the middle of this island gets its own horse racing track, apparently.
Wow. Wow, that's got to be one of the strangest narratives I've ever heard.
How many people in your town there, Gus? 753. You get a racetrack. What is this, old world Oprah show? You get a racetrack.
You get a racetrack.
Everybody gets a racetrack. How many people in your town? We're not a town there, bye. We're a hamlet. Well, how many people you got? 23. You know what? You get a horse track.
Yes, there must be a lot of horses then on the PEI.
Yeah, I guess, they just ferry them over. I don't know what the hell's going on around here. Not enough horses to pull trolleys, though, because they never had any trolley streetcars.
Yeah,
at all.
Frankie and I were talking about that. We were looking for the streetcars but couldn't find any.
Yes, thank you, Miss Honeybee. Yes, like, share, subscribe to both channels if you haven't already. I don't know. Are you sitting on your hands over there? If you haven't liked and subscribed, I guess it's cold. Maybe you're warming your hands up.
Hey, I always forget to press the thumbs up button when I'm watching. I always have to remind myself. So it's one of those things.
You know what? If it's a huge channel, let's say I'm watching a cool documentary about something, and it's a channel that's got like 6 million subscribers, and that video's gotten like 1.8 million views. Mm-hmm. And it's gotten like 628,000 thumbs ups. Mm-hmm. I figure mine's not going to make a difference. You know what I'm saying? But if it's a channel your size or a channel my size, and I like the video, I'll give it a thumbs up. Sure, it helps.
Help the little guy along, right? Help the little guy.
Yeah, exactly. Anyways, real quick wrap up this horse racing track craziness. It's crazy. Prince Edward Island has a long... we read that part already. Charlottetown is the capital of the largest city of PI and the country seat of Queens County. Yeah, we read that. Named after Queen Charlotte. Sure. As a city in 1855, so pretty early on as a city. Conference. Yeah, okay, we know that too. Right, okay. Here we go. Commencing operations on October 2nd, 1888 on a half-mile circuit. Now racing 9 months of the year as Red Shores Racetrack and Casino at Charlottetown Driving Park. Horse racing has always been a major part of Prince Edward Island's heritage. Still going today. Started in 1888. That's this park here. There's the old-timey picture from 1906. Yep. And there it is basically today. Just a new, ugly grandstand building. But even this little, I guess that's the guy who announces the race. Hey, and it's Cracker Jack coming around the outside. Here comes Monkey's uncle. Monkey's uncle wins by a nose or whatever. I don't know.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, potatoes. But apparently horse racing. And I was shocked.
That's interesting. That's an interesting part of the story for sure.
I had absolutely no idea. Oh, I was like, well, wait a second here now. And again, I'm kind of technically an Easterner in the sense that, I was born and grew up, first 10 years of my life out in Quebec, just a stone's throw away from Prince Edward Island. And I was like, wait, what? Every little rural town. Sure.
Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, you get your own racetrack. No problem. On this tiny island. I got one last thing to share. How's everybody doing, by the way, in the chat? Welcome once again to the show. CANUCKLEHEADS Ep.9, right, Chris?
Yeah, I hope you guys are learning a little bit about PEI. I'm learning a bit about PEI here, so it's interesting.
Yeah. episode 9 of the show. We're looking at old Charlottetown, kind of specifically, but PEI overall, Prince Edward Island, there in the Maritimes, Eastern Canada. Once again, links below, by the way, but once again, broadcasting simultaneously on Old World Exploration, Chris's channel, and my channel, New West Reset, as well as over on the Rumble from my channel. So howdy to everybody on YouTube and Rumble. Thanks for taking time out of your weekend afternoon, this chilly Sunday, talking about potatoes and PEI.
Just a little Canadiana for you folks out there.
Yeah, sharing a bit of Canada. You know, we got to push that Canadian narrative, eh? We're a couple of CANUCKLEHEADS, a couple of Canadians, and well, Canada's a beauty.
Yeah.
So thanks again for joining us. And one last thing to share here real quick is this other, because again, all these horse racing tracks everywhere. So you'd think, wow, okay, must be a lot of room. But then no, it's an island, right? We saw that from the population of just Charlottetown itself, the biggest city, the capital city. Never maxed out above a certain number at any point, even modern standards.
Mm-hmm. Not even 40,000 in the modern day. Yeah.
39, 38, what? 38,000-ish, give or take. But still so small that, well, according to the Toronto Star here, where's PEI, Prince Edward Island? Canada's smallest province is literally being left off of maps.
I love it. We know of other places that have been left off of maps in this old world research.
What is this, the new Friesland? For crying out loud?
Exactly my point, yeah.
Hey, us Canadians there, eh, buddy? We don't like to be left out there, eh, bot?
No.
Oh, no, you're going to talk about Friesland over there and over near Iceland and Greenland disappearing. Well, hey, we don't want to be left out, eh? We got our own Canadian version of Friesland. It's called Prince Edward Island, eh, buddy?
Yeah.
Give me a break, man. But it's true. Maps at Vancouver Airport, in an auto magazine, and on products produced by the Hudson's Bay Company, the Bay. The world's oldest continuously still operating company. The company that founded Canada, basically built Canada on the back of the beaver pelt fur industry, so we're told. Well, they missed the province. That is both the birthplace of Confederation and Anne Shirley, Anne of Green Gables. Way to go, idiots.
Well, maybe it's not, like we said, probably not the first time they left places off the map.
Well, let's have a look at this. It says I've reached my monthly article.
You have to subscribe.
I have to subscribe now. You know why? Because I read this article 3 times already. Basically, okay, here we go. Like, PEI is smaller than Algonquin Park, which is a park inside of, I think it's in the greater, it's in Toronto. It's in Oakville.
Okay.
Yeah. And it has fewer residents than Oakville, Ontario. Or Algonquin is in Ontario, and Oakville is also in Ontario.
Yeah.
The Algonquin Park is basically a city park. And like a provincial park. And Oakville is, it's it's the name of the city. Yeah. This island is so small. The islanders are facing a fresh indignity, being wiped off the map. So islanders are being used to overlooked as Canada's smallest province are facing a new indignity, being wiped off the map. So apparently the Hudson's Bay Company, the department store that's been around for 500 plus years in some form or another, was selling T-shirts that they had forgotten to put Prince Edward Island on the T-shirt.
I think Hudson's Bay Company is one of the early narrative setters for North America. That's for sure.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and very much part of the umbrella global version of that corporation, right? The East India Trading Company and all of that.
Representatives of the Crown.
Yes.
Crown.
Yeah. Awarded monopolies on certain trades or goods, or being able to tax certain goods being traded in and out of the colonies on behalf of the Crown. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I just on one hand, we're told that it's so small it's being left off of T-shirts that are being sold in Canada's largest chain and oldest chain of department stores.
Yeah.
It's being left off of a map that's a giant mural on a wall in the Vancouver airport. That when the lady who noticed complained and wrote to the airport authorities, they didn't get back to her. They didn't respond to her for 2 months. They were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, sorry about that, eh, bot?
You don't exist. You're not on the map."
We'll fix her up there. Toot sweet there, eh, lady? Don't you worry. Thanks for letting us know. Sorry there, eh?
So if it disappears from all the maps, does it exist?
That's right. Like
like the tree falls in the forest.
Yeah, like Friesland.
Yeah.
Or like our melted reality says, not on the map, never happened.
Yeah.
They're like,
It's a lot of power to put in the hands of the Hudson's Bay Company.
There was and there was some like auto magazine that for some reason had some map on some article, and they left off Prince Edward Island. So on one hand, it's so tiny it's being left off of maps, but on the other hand, it's so big it can have its own railroad, and it has a massive amount of horse racing racetracks. Every little town gets their own, as a matter of fact. Oh, and it can be the Canadian capital of producing potatoes.
Yeah. Oh, and no shortage of stone and brick buildings, as we're soon to see.
So again, massive farmland for potatoes, enough to not only export to the rest of Canada, but to export Canadian potatoes into the U.S. And I think to England too, or the U.K., I should say.
Known for it.
But then again, we're tiny. We're being left off maps. Well, which one is it? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, they'll have to withhold their potatoes as a ransom, right? Until they get put back on the maps.
Yes. That's right. If no potatoes will become the potato Yahtzees. No potato for you.
That's right.
Oh man, absolutely ridiculous. You know what? One last thing I wanted to share here, if I may. Did you get your latest issue of the CANUCKLEHEADS magazine?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Oh. Jabaroo Joe sent me a copy of the latest edition of the Wild Adventures with the CANUCKLEHEADS magazine here. Here we go. Volume 1, issue 4. There you go. 100 drachma, which is 10% plus austerity tax. So you get the Trojan Beaver. It's bigger than Ben-Hur, says Cecil B. DeMille. This chewing gum tastes like rubber, says Jabaroo Joe.
Jabaroo's got some skill with the
and here's a big quote from President Joe Biden here. He says, well, gum na bless him, nothing. So clear. high praise for issue 4 of the Old World Adventures with the CANUCKLEHEADS, the Trojan Beaver. Of course, you got your food wagon here selling gyros as we are making our way to the city of Troy to try to find Helen. So fantastic job. Thank you very much. If you're in the chat right now, Jabaroo Joe, thank you. Really, really good.
Very creative.
Really appreciated. Yes, very nice. Love it. That's 4 of those already. Got to tell you, there's something wrong with that guy. Bless him.
In a good way.
Absolutely. Bless his heart. Howdy, Logan. Welcome. Miss Honeybee is here. Scottish Tart is here. Joop Vanderbeesh. Hello. Marie is here as well. In the plain sight. Space Indian. I'm not allowed to say Indian, but I just said it.
Twice.
But my friend Old World Mi'kmaq says it's okay. Darren N in the box. Welcome. Joe's here as well from Billy Philly 22. Your Cheetah Peach. Hello. Larry Stick and Our Melted Realities here as well. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Really appreciate it. Old World, Michigan. Morgan's here from Isabella Live 2.0. There he is. Here's my buddy. Old World Mi'kmaq. This is, by the way, Mi'kmaq territory. Canada's first nation, Canada's first peoples out in the maritime area. Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland, Maine, Quebec, Labrador. All them places, all them shits.
I've never been that far east, and I'd love to go one of these days.
It's beautiful out there. It's green. It's like Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And
they have a bit of that culture as well.
'Tis like the Emerald Isle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, aye, to be sure, laddie. Aye, to be sure. Definitely has that Irish sort of feel to the East Coast, which, I mean, absolutely makes sense. No need to apologize. Sorry, eh? No need to apologize. It's good to see you. We were just showing off your creative artwork. You maniac, you. You're a maniac. So yeah, thumbs up, everybody. Thank you very much. 70 watching between the channels. So thank you very much. Don't forget to hit the like. Make sure you're still subscribed. And again, links for everything below in the description box for all of the chicanery and jackassery and shenanigans that we've been looking at here. And as a reminder, the show is, we're a couple of knuckleheads. We're a couple of Canadians. Chris is in British Columbia. I'm in Alberta. So the show focuses on Canadian stuff. We like to push it out there. Sometimes Canadian land is overlooked a little bit there, on the world stage. And at the same time, we surprise our own selves, don't we, Chris?
We do. There's lots to discover. Much to discover. Yeah.
So I bet you a guy's willing to bet dollars to good Canadian donuts that you've got a really nice file of beauty photos.
Let me look. I think it's pretty good.
Bet you do. It's I mean, why break the habit? You're like you're like that geyser, Old Faithful. You're live.
I like to dig deep.
Yeah, you always find the good stuff. You always find the, what do they call it over on Martin's channel? The juice. You always bring the juice.
Yeah.
So what do you say we take a quick break and let you get everything kind of organized, and we'll have a little bit of a look-see at a video that I found from, I believe it's either 1941 or 1943. Excuse me, I can't remember. Well, so we'll say circa 1942-ish. Video of mostly Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island, but also a bit of the surrounding area. Gives you an idea of the official narrative. And it's got quite a nice, lovely traditional maritime tune as well. Canada's fake, eh? Oh, yeah, eh? It's not even really there.
Fake news. It's all fake.
It's just on the other side of the impenetrable ice wall. Right, Chassis?
Yeah.
Good to see you. Welcome. Thanks for joining us, Chassis. Always good to see you. Old friend of both channels. Not old like Chassis old. Just she's been around both channels for a while. I don't want to get slapped.
Apologize. You
I don't want to get the slapped across the interwebs. Interweb slap. Anyway, yeah, how does that sound? We have a little peekaboo at that and then come back. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, this is Charlottetown and surrounding area. From, oh, there it is. The date's right in the title for crying in the rain. For Pete's sake. Charlottetown, 1943. So yeah, a couple of minutes here, about 3.5 minutes, and then we'll be right back.
They talk about Texas, Kentucky, and Maine. They talk about London, Paris, and Spain. But there's a little island I long there to be. Prince Edward Island is heaven to me. The shores are so pretty, the fields are so green, the roads are so winding with such pretty scenes. The air is so pure and the people so gay. Prince Edward Island, I'm a-coming to stay. There's swimming and hunting and fishing galore. The sun shines so bright on its long golden shore. The Lord made this island for all men to see. Prince Edward Island is heaven to me. You know, folks, there are 10 provinces in the Dominion of Canada, each beautiful in its own respect, such as British Columbia, Quebec, Alberta, Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, Ontario, and Saskatchewan. But Prince Edward Island to me is the one. The soil is so fertile, so rich and so rare. It yields such potatoes which none can compare. The tourists are welcome to walk its red soil, for farmers are happy to work and to toil. There's thousands of islands in this land of ours, like dots in the ocean or dew on the flowers. A touch of God's great hand this island must be. Prince Edward Island is heaven to me.
Well,
we are back.
you.
What did you think of that there, buddy?
I thought it was showcased a lot of the old world structures. It was pretty cool.
I especially like that. I guess it's sort of on their main high street there in the town square or city square. The hansom cabs, the horse-drawn carriages for the tourists. They do that in old Montreal, and they do it around Central Park in New York, and I'm sure elsewhere. But really helps to put it into perspective, because you could say, well, when footage was taken, that was modern day, but you know dang well that 100 years prior, it was just horse and buggy around there, and the buildings were already there.
Yeah, the horses had a lot of work. Had their work cut out for them, didn't they?
Yeah, definitely.
They had their work cut out to build this kind of stuff. They had to haul the stones, right? We got an Anglican church here.
Look at the angle of that spire
Here.
Yeah.
Octagonal, maybe.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, that's pretty steep. Imagine working your way up there. That's when they get the kids, remember, with the small hands and the small feet. Once they get to the top, right?
Yeah, Logan's saying lots of hewn stone brick, or hewn stone buildings, excuse me.
Yeah, and you're having this too, the Roman, what we might call a Romanesque style archway in the front here with the columns built into it. Look very familiar, very old world familiar.
Yeah. So there is some almost crudeness to the blocks themselves, but then there's some of that fine detail around the areas of focus, doorways, windows, and the ornamentation around the spires and whatnot themselves, right?
Well, a crudeness to the face of them, but obviously they're very smooth to be able to be laid in such a manner. Well,
the joinery is not crude. You know, to be able to create that rounded sort of stubby turret right there that you're pointing at with the, with the little pointed conical roof on it and everything. Lovely old stone building.
This little Anglican church, right? Yeah, another church here. Not sure which one this one is.
That's big, because look at the four-story building next to it. So that church is huge.
Nice mansard roof here, you can see. Right.
Yes, yeah, love that.
And look at the chimney here. Even we're looking at that same sort of defaced brick or defaced stone. Interesting. Modern look for you. This is a different church, Central Christian Church.
Another conical dome. Wow.
Yeah, difficult construction, right? Again, remember and we have to keep in mind the population here. About 10,000 people at the turn of the 20th century.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you have the big, very familiar looking, massive stonework down here. And the old brickwork, looking very old and damaged, actually, the brickwork.
Looking,
here.
yes, extremely damaged, aged. Is it water? Has it been scorched? Was there some kind of electromagnetic or plasmic discharge of some sort? Who knows? I mean, this is an island, right? So you have the salt water, the ocean water. So
very interesting shape here too, as well. Really.
Yeah, that's always
this has to be milled up, right? Imagine milling this piece right here, like.
Yeah, you've got to. Even if it's just local stone, even if it's just concrete, let's face it, even if you're pouring concrete into a mold to do that, what purpose would that serve? Oh, it's just for decoration because it's the glory of the Lord. What?
Strange and unique. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chassis Nick saying, first I've seen like that. Me too. You're seeing something similar again here as well.
Yeah, but that one looks to me like it was tougher to do because of the work involved.
Market building. They're calling it the market building. Let's get a little closer. And
so
again,
this would have been the public market, right?
Yeah, and here's all the wagons or buggies, whatever you want to call them. Where are the horses? The horses must be out in pasture having a snack. Well, right, unless they're rickshaws.
Well, if you took out market building Charlottetown PEI off the bottom of that postcard, and you said this is Shanghai 1892, look at all the rickshaws, I'd be like, okay, sure.
They don't actually look like they're set up for the horses. They look like that's strange. I never thought
they might be carts because people are bringing their the farmers and the merchants are bringing their wares to market, so they're like hand carts, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. But again, that stonework. Remember the population, folks. Remember the population.
Or maybe they put their carts there, and then there's a stable around behind the building or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
It's definitely not that manipulated building in the background that looks like somebody traced around it with a Sharpie.
Definitely drawn in back here to put the outline.
Wow.
Yeah. You can even see it here in the roof line on this building. Yeah. Jeez. You'll see more of that.
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
We noticed. Yeah. Oh, I've seen this one. Yeah. I saw a photo of this postcard as well, but I've seen this postcard. It's beautiful.
Grafton Street. And again, that stone face. You see the brick down here.
Grocer's Choice Fruit. Okay.
That's the original sign right there. Came with the building. That sign on this. Right?
Yeah, because if you're going to be your town grocer, you want glorious arched windows.
Yeah.
With keystones in them and capstones. And
so you had to ship in all the glass, I suppose. All the curved glass. Hopefully it's not too wavy on the ride over.
Well, yeah, the point we were talking about earlier. Sure, they may have had brick factories because of all the red earth and red clay on the island. Good for growing them their taters. So, yeah, they had bricks, but everything else would have had to have been shipped from the mainland.
Mm-hmm.
The steel, the glass, even the lumber. What are they going to do? Cut down do the whole Easter Island thing and cut down all their own trees?
Yeah, no, I know. It's we have a hotel, Canadian National Hotel for the railways.
Oh, of course, it's a railroad hotel. It looks like a castle, right? I might have known.
Just a depiction, but this one I thought illustrates the how nice this building would have been. Yeah, good size too. Another hotel, Victoria Hotel. Interesting.
Exquisite.
Mm-hmm. And again, you have the dormer situation. They like to make use of the roof space on these old structures.
Now, one wonders if some of these buildings were pre-reset, the local reset that whatever hit the Maritimes in the eastern part of Canada.
Hmm.
The upper floor, or maybe the old roof from the pre-reset old world building, was destroyed.
Hmm.
A lot of these needed, what
Oh,
Dave
yeah.
Ebony calls a Victorian tart up, fix up some facade bricks, some facelifting, and then maybe a new roof, however you want to say it. And then they put all these dormers in.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
very,
I'm just
very
kind of throwing
possible.
it out there.
Yeah.
Because to me, the other style of roof that I'm sorry, I always forget the name.
The mansard roof?
Mansard roof. Oh, guy's got a mental block with that term for some reason, eh?
Well, yeah, I teach it, so I have to know it.
Mansard roof line. To me, that seems much more old world. Or the green copper, extremely angled roofs that we see on like the Chateau Frontenac or some of the other old world Capitol buildings in Canada, right?
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, and much more complex to construct as well. Here
Yeah.
they've actually just extended that roof line, from there to.
Mm.
They've gone, okay,
Yeah.
let's just go straight up with that and put a
So
flat
for
roof.
sure, on record of your photos here, the second, but potentially the third or even fourth facelift in terms of roof line and all that.
Definitely, and the siding, I think too. This is so interesting old structure.
It's a beautiful old building, and this is still quite early on. You can tell by the cars.
It is.
Late 20s at the latest.
Yeah, it's
More like early 20s, maybe.
hard to say, yeah, but it's a large structure for sure. Here's the exhibition building, which was by that racetrack you showed earlier. It was right next to it, actually.
Ah, so this would have been for Charlottetown when they hosted the Dominion exhibition, which was, I guess, Canada's version of the World's Fairs.
I don't remember the year on that, but I think it's in the 19 teens or somewhere in and around there. Not sure on that exhibition. I mean,
yeah, I did a live stream about those because that was something that I came across doing separate research. I think it was when you and I were looking into Brandon, and there was that crazy exhibition building in Brandon that has the onion domes on it.
Yeah,
and I was like, wait a second. A Canadian Dominion exhibition. What's this? And then took me down that. So I think I did a live stream on that. It's very interesting.
Yeah. This is the convent, I guess, a very religious people in Charlottetown, as we'll see from all the churches. I mean, nothing crazy about this. It does have the stepped brick pilasters, I think we can call those, on the side here. You can see them there. Very indicative of the old world. Why I saved this one, because I wanted to show the columns here. Does that look like marble to you?
Yeah, it looks like marble. It does look like marble because it's shiny and it's got some veining and texture to it.
Marble columns, in the convent chapel.
Not texture to the touch, sorry, but texture within the stone itself.
Yeah, right? You can see the shine on it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And the different color striations going through it.
Yeah. The old worlder, right? So what do you guys expect from a city of 10,000 people at the turn of the century? You expect to see this type of stuff?
On a tiny island that's so small they forget to put it on maps sometimes?
This is postcard from 1914, and they're calling it the New Zion Presbyterian Church. 1914.
Looks like they took the spire off of it, potentially.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. I'm sure that's exactly what happened. Okay, that's the Trinity United Church. I think we may have seen that. So this gets really confusing, the inconsistencies sometimes on these structures.
Well, because there might be a Trinity United Church, but there might also be a Trinity Anglican Church or Lutheran Church. You know what I mean?
And again, the number of churches. Jeez. The number of churches, as we'll see as we move forward.
Well, again, for such a tiny population, you're right. What were they? A bunch of God-fearing Bible thumpers? Like, what's,
Yeah, I love the multi-story. It's this Prince Street School. We just don't build multi-story schools anymore, really.
And it's not that it's tall and skinny. It's big.
It's
You know what I
big.
mean? It's
Yeah.
4 stories high at least, but it's even from
Yeah.
front to back, it's pretty big. Nice
And
brickwork there.
quite the detail here. Yeah, hard to see, but and then you can see the fence along the top too. The gate work or whatever you want to call that, teched out.
Yeah, almost like ether fencing potentially. Referred to as ether fencing before. So
Yeah, Montague. Now this must be a town nearby, so it's on PEI. So I included it. It's a post office in Montague.
looking very
But
mud flooded because big, glorious, huge arches, but they look very short and stumpy. Maybe it's
Yeah.
because we're brainwashed to, we're used to seeing post offices with, 15 to 20 foot archways for, 5'8" people.
Yeah, nice brickwork though. Again, very very fine work being done here. Love to know how many skilled hands resided in Charlottetown at that time that were skilled at building in such a manner.
Yeah, because again, like you said, the brickwork along the ridge line there, the roof line is just, little things like that. I mean, extra effort like that, even if it's small things, they add up. They add up to the cost. They add up to the time. And again, PEI, they don't get tickled by old man winter. I mean, they're right on the Atlantic Ocean. They get those northeastern winds. They get that heavy, wet snow.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Yeah, this is a post office in Summerside, which is another town. I can't really call them cities. I could hardly call Charlottetown a city. It's pretty tiny population wise.
Well, Summerside was in my segment. They got their own racetrack. So one would hope they got a post office. That's a nice one.
They had a beauty post office, that's for sure.
The building in the background too.
No problem to build like that. No problem. Easy.
Nice.
Easy. St. Dunstan's College. And again, a multi-storied, and that's a legit mansard for sure. You can see the sweep here on the roof, and then the dormers poking out. Really nice, pretty looking structure.
Yeah, there's a few in Calgary here that are like that. A couple of apartment buildings, a convent actually. Now that you mentioned convents, and yeah, I don't know. I think it's sharp, and to me, it screams old world, whether it has dormers in it or not.
Yeah, I guess it's just the logistics of being able to build all this with such a small population on an island. We're casting the seeds of doubt, right? We think there's something wrong with the narrative.
Well, yeah, because where did the glass come from? Where did the steel come from? Where did all the rivets come from? Where did the wiring and the everything? I mean, brick and stone, sure.
The columns. Let's not forget the columns.
Yeah. I mean, okay, I could buy that they could ship this around the island because they had their own, independent railroad. But how did it get to the island? It would have to, again, come from the mainland. The logistics of this, especially in the horse and buggy era. And again, by their own narrative, it's pretty early on in the founding of Canada's history. Charlottetown is.
This one's a beauty too.
Yeah.
Not to take away from this one, but this has got a really distinct old world feel to it.
Again, those conical domes on top, and then they have a little ball on top of that. Again, looking like the lid to your Nana's candy dish up there. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. This is the old City Hall. We'll take a look at that as we move forward. Yeah. Through in a hospital, one of several hospitals. Nothing great about this one, but thought I'd throw it in there.
Huge chimneys for some reason, and pretty low windows in the front there.
Yeah. Possibly reshaped, possibly the remains of another old world structure that's been dramatically overhauled. Not sure. And again, all these brick-faced buildings all the way down the main street. Right.
But then look at the condition of the street.
Yeah. And this is something,
it's crap.
I was looking for, the brick pavers. I was looking hard for the brick pavers, and I couldn't find any, but I think you can see the curb work here, and you can see the dirt come right up to the top edge of the curb in some cases.
Yeah. Like almost ready to creep on up there. Yeah.
Like the cities, like the streets have been filled in with dirt almost, or have not been cleared, or something along those lines.
But then look how wide the street is. It's like they're anticipating a streetcar line that they never got.
Yes, exactly. It never came, but they wanted it. They wanted it badly.
And then there's that building, if I may interject one other thing, that's basically where your cursor is now, that almost in the middle of the picture. What is all that doodads on the top of it? Yeah.
Here, that's an
Yeah.
early CBC antenna radio.
There you go. Okay, that's right. From CBC television, eh? The
Knuckleheads
Knuckleheads
Broadcast
Broadcasting Company.
Corporation. That's right. Exactly. We're,
Oh,
we're kind of
welcome to the show, eh?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's perfect.
Yeah. More old world. What do you guys think? Do these looking pretty old world to you? What do you expect to see from such a small city? On an island.
I would expect some of these three-story buildings. For me personally, I would expect some of these three-story buildings to be maybe 2 stories, and the 2 stories to be 1 story. Small island, limited population, limited land available.
Yeah,
And I
you don't have a
certainly
lot
wouldn't
of
expect all the cupolas and domes and
arches. The arch.
yeah, and the big arch. Like that's a lot of work for such a small population of a city that's always going to be very small.
Not to mention a basement. You got to excavate.
Yeah.
Right.
Jeez,
Takes time, energy, resources.
And by their own narrative, the island is basically filled with fishermen or potato farmers.
And what are these? Are these stones? And do they have stones like this in PEI, or are these all being shipped in? These are questions that we have.
Yeah. Well, I know they do have some local quarries there, but again, you have limited surface area to work with because it's such a small island. So small. I'm not sure you're aware of this, Chris. I just want to give you a heads up, but so small that it's being left off maps and T-shirts.
Yeah. So somebody thought it was a smudge, so they cleaned off the smudge. Didn't
Yeah.
realize it was actually an island.
Well, in that one article that apparently I wasn't allowed to look at anymore, they were interviewing one lady that she said, yeah, some maps you look at it and it just looks like a blob. Like it doesn't even resemble the shape of the island. How it's kind of slightly sort of has like a crescent moon sort of shape,
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Just looks
what
like
shape it is.
an amoeboid blob.
Yeah. Yeah.
If at all.
Check this one out. The American consulate.
Really? You gotta have an American consulate in Prince Edward Island, I guess. Huh. It's pretty big, actually.
Yeah, it's a large structure. It's fancy.
Why does that have to be a big stone and brick structure? Why couldn't that just be a like a wood frame house, right? Like it's just it's basically just the U.S. consulate, and you just have is an ambassador living there.
Yeah, this guy maybe.
Yeah, all you need is a house, room for his family, and a home office. I mean, you don't need a big fancy 2-story stone building. Wow.
I know, right? Yeah.
Here we go.
Provincial building. I think we saw this in the video you showed, the provincial building.
Yes.
So I guess we could call that like equivalent to the state house in the States, or the provincial legislature.
Yeah, it would be the state capitol building.
Now this
would be our legislature buildings. Yeah.
Very strange because do you know when this thing was built? Did you look? I don't know if you looked around.
It was built.
Don't cheat. Don't cheat.
I'm not. No. I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
Weren't these some of the buildings where the Confederation meetings were held in the,
of course,
1860s? So these are built in the 1850s. Then
you're close. 1843 to 1847.
1843. That is early.
It's crazy early. Look down here. Whoop.
Hi. What's that right there? Peekaboo. Well, that's just for drainage. It's just for drainage.
The
drainage into the building, eh? Okay.
The Wikipedia demographics for population starts in the 1870s for Charlottetown. So we don't even know how many people were supposedly living there at the time this thing was built.
That's right. And you got to build this massive building on such a tiny island with such small populations of potato farmers and fishermen.
Yeah.
Wow,
columns. There's the law courts in behind it, the law courts building.
Yeah. Well, you got to have a big Greco-Roman looking, provincial legislature. Before it was a province, by the way, built in anticipation of becoming a province, but not yet a province.
That's right. It wasn't a provincial house at the time because there was no province.
Yeah. So what did they call it before it was called the provincial house?
Yeah, what was it called when they built it? That's right. Yeah. What do you think this is?
I don't know. It's not a lantern. There's a lamp next to it. It's not a
Maybe-
fountain.
No, I think it's a fancy ashtray. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, those of you that know.
Fancy ashtray.
Fancy ashtray.
Could-
I'm just-
Is
Pure
it a drinking fountain?
That's a good question. I'm
And
not
then
sure.
the tech on top powers the pump that pumps the water for the drinking
Ah,
fountain, maybe?
Could be. Maybe someone has an answer for us in the chat. We'll see.
I noticed there's a big statue in front of that other building that was
Let's
the
go
law
back to
office building. Yeah.
I think
some
possibly it used to be a fountain. I might have another photo of it, but we'll see. I'm really starting to think, Frankie, that when we see these memorials, I think they used to be fountains, and I think they transformed. The New World came in and overhauled. Once the energetic system was fried, I think they plopped these memorials in there, and it's like a wink to the ones in the know that they've claimed it for themselves.
People are saying that thing could be a gas lamp, maybe.
Okay.
And then they just plunked a new electric lamp next to it, and that's what that 3 globed park lamp was, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Now, I don't know if we looked at this Victoria Row now. We see, look at the brickwork. Look at this all the way down. You guys can see that, can't you?
That is absolutely mind-boggling.
Look at the detail. Look at the detail.
Just boggles the guy's brain. Look at that. Those angled courses of brick along the top.
Yeah. Here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not super fancy, but I love that detail, and it's still the amount of work that each course of brick has to protrude slightly, I should say, excuse me, from the brick that's underneath it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's...
So you get this gentle sort of relief in the brick.
Also happening at the most difficult stage of the build. Down here, as you move up, the tension gets higher and higher.
Yeah.
Right? It becomes a much more... Because you fall from here, you might hurt yourself. You fall from here, you might break a leg. You fall from here, you might be dead. So why all the difficulty has to happen at the greatest point of danger?
Yeah.
That's one of the things that gets me with a lot of this old world stuff too.
And we always find the ornamentation seems to be up so high in most cases that it can't be admired from the general public that's just a passerby pedestrian on the street. It's almost like you have to be looking out the window of a building across the street to even notice any of this stuff.
You get a bit of a stiff neck. There's more of that flaring going on here. Okay. This is really, really intricate brickwork we're looking at here.
That's a lot of bricks.
Very intricate. Like, look at there it is. The more flaring going on there. So you've got it happening here. So, so the footprint.
They flare it out and they put an arch over it.
Yeah, it happens here. So think about you're getting some flaring here. You're bumping the building out, working your way up. You're bumping the building out. You're working your way up, and you're bumping it out again. So the front face up here is further out. It's probably sitting up over the sidewalk a little bit, right? Very interesting the way they've done that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's beautiful, and it's not something I expected to see from this small city on an island. I don't know.
Sure, if it was, a commercial avenue in, Hamilton or Ottawa or something, okay. You're thinking, okay, maybe 50, 60,000 people by right around 1900, 1920, 1910 or what have you. But no, we're talking about Charlottetown.
1890 something, so less than 10,000 people, or in and around 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Supposedly, if we're going to go with the narrative, and then anyway.
Yeah.
We don't go with the narrative. Here's a fountain. Oh, maybe it's not in front of that building, but here's the fountain. And you could see old world majesty down here with the arched windows down low and massive arches here. Which one is this again? They call it the Queen Square, so I think we're looking at the post office. I could be wrong. We will see it soon here in the slideshow.
Queen
This is actually,
Square. So again, referencing Queen Charlotte.
of course, yeah, yeah. Who is Queen Charlotte the queen before Victoria? I'm not up to speed on my British monarchy chronology. I should be, but
Let me conjugal it right now.
all right, I'll keep going here. Here we're looking at a looking like a brick or stone rail station. Again, you have to do it. You have to build it in such a manner. Apparently so. Yeah, cooling pond. Maxwell in the chat's talking about this. Yeah, I think as we dig into the energetics of these buildings, we realize that the fountains are part of what made the whole place work.
So I just looked it up quick here. Queen Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
She's the wife of King George III. So she was the Queen of Great Britain and Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
And she died in 1818.
Yeah, okay. So she predates Victoria. There's something between her and Victoria. Let's not get too caught up on the British royals now, shall we?
Oh yeah. Well, you don't have to worry about me with that. I don't find it that interesting.
I was hoping you could do your impression of Queen Charlotte, though, if you had one.
Oh, I don't. All I've got is my very mediocre Queen Victoria. We are not amused. That's about as good as it gets.
Why don't you read this postcard out in Queen Victoria's accent? Would you do that for me?
Sure, why not?
I say, everyone is doing it in Charlottetown, especially when the lights go down. Oh my goodness, we are not amused.
Oh, that was fantastic. Look, there's an old postcard of Charlottetown.
My, that's quite racy for the age of modesty, is it not?
Absolutely, it is.
Why are the lights going down so frequently in Charlottetown? One wonders as well.
Oh man, I don't know. A few more public buildings for you. And again, this whole row of buildings just screaming at you, old world.
Yeah, arches and columns and the crappy wooden shack in the front of that one in the foreground. What the?
Oh, here.
Yeah, that's a tool shed.
Yeah, this is New World construction.
You're gonna put that right at the front of this beautiful building.
This is what they were capable of at the time.
Look at the low windows too that are arched, that are half buried,
and quite clearly windows that should look almost exactly like the ones above them. Yeah.
Sheesh.
I think this is that market building. Maybe this is a post office. There's the provincial house, and there's the law courts. I do believe I have that. Yeah. Get a little bit of shoreline now for my melt heads out there.
Oh well, of course, because famous for that red clay soil to grow them potatoes, even though it almost looks like there's bricks and arches in there. But hey, call me crazy. I don't know.
Interesting formation there. Interesting. Just been sitting there for millions of years like that, has it?
Oh yeah, just teetering like that for millions and millions of years.
60 million years.
Through the rising and falling of tides and tsunamis and nor'easter winter storms with massive crashing waves. That just balances there, no problem, bud.
You can see the hard layer here and the mud layer here. Interesting.
Yeah. So why is it not eroding down to the shoreline? Why is it why and what is supporting that top sliding layer, right?
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah.
Again, just a nice
close look.
Nature's balancing act.
Nature's horizontal lines. You can see them line. Anyway.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Yeah. Right. There she is in all her glory. See, I was looking for some sort of indication of tracks down the road here. And you got the brick sidewalks.
Yeah, it looks to me like I'm seeing lines in the sidewalk. So
here.
Yeah, courses of brick, maybe.
So, I mean,
but I think those lines in the road are just cart tracks.
Yeah, no, I agree. I couldn't find anything that tells me for sure we're looking at some sort of rail system or brick streets, but you're
Or
seeing
is it
all.
still submerged
Well, that's what I mean.
tracks, but from the bird's eye or sort of quasi bird's eye view? Obviously, this photo's taken from the top of a building, whether it's City Hall or the post office or something.
Hmm.
And from the angle and the time of day, you're seeing that maybe a couple inches underneath all that dirt and crap, there's old world rail lines or tracks in there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Trolley, streetcar. I'm just speculating.
It's showing us every other indication that there should be some sort of streetcar track coming down the middle here. The width of the street, the distance between the buildings. Like, these buildings were built this far apart for a reason.
Right.
Otherwise,
power poles and power lines following both sides of the street, where you could easily power streetcars along there. Again, I'm just speculating.
yeah, no, it's fine. It's all speculation, right? We're just exploring. Here's your track, exhibition and races, 1906. There we go. The driving park. We'll move on. We saw this one.
You know what I kind of like in that? You know how when you look bird's eye view of
This one?
pyramid, the pyramids of Giza. At a certain time of day, you see that the Great Pyramid is not actually 4-sided, but it's 8-sided. There's a seam running down each face.
Really?
And it's slightly concave from corner to corner down into the middle seam. So it's actually 8-sided.
That's wild. I did not know that. Very interesting.
But you can only see it at a certain time of day and only from sort of top-down view. And I've only seen a couple of photos of it, but that's what that street view kind of reminded me of, where maybe at only certain times of day at a certain angle, you could see a still slightly buried remains of a streetcar or something.
Interesting.
I don't know why I'm so hung up on it. I just find it weird they had their own railroad, but they didn't have streetcar. It's just
I
weird.
think what we're trying to get at is that there was something there. And
yeah, I'm speculating that there probably was, and they just didn't bother.
I never got to that. It certainly wouldn't fit the narrative. Here's a public school. Look at all these kids. Again, this is a distinguishing feature. It seems to be for Charlottetown.
Yes.
Somebody was super creative.
It's sort of pointed. It's almost looks like it's meant to be a slimmed down, skinnier version of like a castle turrets, but then it's got this little cone on top, this little upside down cone on top of them.
Functionally completely useless, as far as I can say. Yeah. So
maybe at one time there was tech on top of those little cones.
Possibly. Yeah. They had big chickens.
And tiny horses, apparently. Greetings from Borden, PEI. We're so bored, we're going to Photoshop some giant chickens into our pictures. The Lord of fancy poultry. Oh,
well, I wanted to include that, though. I wanted to include, because of Photoshop, right? We know that they were up to no good back then.
Oh, yeah.
And, we'll see in a second. Here's the cathedral, which I haven't shown yet. It's coming. St. Dunstan's Cathedral. Stick around for that, guys. If you think it cutting out early, I don't like when people cut out early, but if you're thinking of it, stick around for the cathedral at least.
Well, and I know that there's been the odd little bit of hinkiness with the connection just because of the weather. So apologies for that. Up in Canada, we still don't have a lot of our power lines and telecommunication lines buried, except for some of the old phone and internet cables. But so a lot of the power lines actually are on what you would call telephone poles in the US, and they get snow on them, And so thanks for staying with us if you're getting a bit of jinkiness.
Oh, we're covered in a blanket of snow. It's full on winter up here now for us. Yeah. Okay, here's one of the hospitals. We'll get into some hospitals.
Oh, we got to, because it's always crazy to see that you got to go up about 114 million stairs to get in the front door of a hospital. That's convenient when you got somebody on a stretcher or a gurney.
Yeah. And I just want to reiterate again the population of this place at the time. right? About 10,000 people in the late 1800s, early 1900s. We're going to keep this in mind as we go through all of this. Now, this again, feels blistered to me. Do you see how almost liquidy these look to you? Do you see that?
Yeah, it's
like there's
and
a
it
blistering
also
of brick. I don't
and
know.
charring maybe on some of them.
Absolutely charring.
And look
yes.
at sort of if you go back up to the arched window, it's kind of a pointed arch, but you see two protrusions that almost look like they're supporting the arch. Those look really in bad shape.
Almost like it's blown out.
Like it's
actually.
so burnt and scorched that it's starting to bubble a bit, maybe.
Like it used to look like this one above it, right? Because it's faceted in the same way.
Like it was a rough-hewn footing stone to support the stones that are stacked on it for the to make the arch.
Well,
but because
possibly.
it protruded out a little bit more, it really got bombarded with whatever.
Becomes a node, right? A nodal point for energy, possibly.
Yeah.
No, this is. Yeah, I think there's something to a lot of this. Yeah, cooked. Yeah. And you can even see it in the bricks that are still bricks, the discoloration in the back here.
Yeah.
And again, you're seeing the nodal points consistent all along here. Very beefy looking, all of this though, right? Popcorny.
Yes. Yeah, it looks like the weight made it slightly sag itself a little bit. But that's probably not the right word, because I'm sure the building, if you went in there with a bubble level and leveled out the floor, it would still be fairly level. You know, some natural settling aside, like most buildings do. So it's not like it heated up and started to melt, because I think it would do that lopsidedly. You know.
Yeah, it's interesting to speculate. It's hard to describe, and something doesn't look right. Okay, we come to the asylum. The asylum.
Of course.
Because when there was 10,000 people living there at the time, there was a lot of crazies.
Yeah. Again, between 1891 and 1921, 30 years. Okay, there was 10,000 people. Basically zero growth. In fact, some shrinkage.
That's right.
Of population in there. But between 1891 and 1921, 10,000 people. Even 1931, only 12,000.
There it is again. Yeah. You see the shrinkage here, 1901 to 1911, less people. That's because they're all going to the asylum.
Well, and again, we're so tiny. They're leaving us off of maps. Okay, so why is there such a massive asylum? Don't you need room to grow more taters?
Yeah, this is the Hillsborough Hospital. You can see here.
Look what Kathy's saying, and she's absolutely right. You could put the entire population in that asylum. Yeah.
1879.
If you put some bunk beds in there, yeah.
Less than 10,000 people. 1879, this place was on 120 acres of land was built. Come on, folks.
At least 4 floors.
Let's go back to the photo, shall we? Let's see. Okay, actually, it was even more majestic, apparently. Here's a depiction of what it originally looked like.
Incredible.
And then let's go back to the photograph. So
yeah, they've removed a lot of stuff.
Gone. This whole wing is gone.
Yeah, it looks like that whole wing is missing.
But so asylum, so certainly fits the narrative. Charlottetown, PEI with an asylum.
Why so big? Why? What's the matter with you? What is driving people crazy in Charlottetown? It's from what we're told, once you visit there, you don't want to leave. It's so beautiful. The tourist industry is huge in Charlottetown. Well, Prince Edward Island in general.
Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah, I mean, and it's true. I mean, it is beautiful. I mean, and just doing research, I was coming across tons of websites about tourism and stuff to see there. And it is, I have to say, whether it's Charlottetown in the city itself or whether it's out in the countryside, it's a beautiful, beautiful part of Canada. So what is driving people crazy on Prince Edward Island?
Probably because they kept pointing to the buildings and saying there's no way that building was built in that year. Because they remember seeing it as a child. Yeah.
And that's right, Neutral Mass. Where are all the doctors coming from, and nursing staff, and orderlies, and whatnot, and who's it, and security staff to make sure people aren't running out of there and going crazy in the streets or whatever, right? A rehabilitation staff.
How
all
many
have to work
employees?
here too. Yeah, how many people
How many
work
employees
here?
do you need in a building that size?
Hundreds, I'm guessing.
I would think so.
Going from the administrator at the top all the way down to the dude mopping the floor and the lady replacing the towels and
Oh, let's not forget the garden work, the grounds,
yeah, well, the
keepers.
landscapers, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, half the bloody city of Charlottetown would work in this place.
And the other half would be inmates.
Yep.
Inmates the wrong word. Sorry, patients. Sorry, I always get that
That's
one.
right. Yes. That's right. Come on now. You got to believe.
Yes.
Come on. Be Canadian, eh? Be nice.
Baptist. We have a Baptist church here. You can kind of see it hiding in behind the trees.
We got to have a Southern Baptist church in Eastern Maritimes of Canada for some reason.
Yeah. Gotta. And it's got to be built in such a fashion.
That's, yeah, very elaborate. And then again, look at the condition of the streets. It's all dirty and
post is knocked over here.
Yeah. Somebody hit it with their mule. Whoops,
Yeah.
sorry, sorry.
Backed into it with their cart. Yeah. Okay, we have a comment here. I'm working on a theory. I believe it could be the frequency of what is beneath the land. It's interesting. Yeah, scorched from below.
Yeah, circuit board
fried.
Yeah, circuit board earth fried out somehow. Yeah, that's a very very interesting theory.
Yeah. We have the International Order of the Oddfellows gathering here in 1908 in Charlottetown.
Wow.
And remember, at a time where the population was decreasing during that decade.
Look at how many of these dudes in their wacky outfits.
And their fancy scarves and their decoration.
A lot of top hats.
It sure is. Was it mercury or lead in the top hats? Wasn't there some sort of heavy metal?
It was all kinds of chemicals.
Mm-hmm. International
I think
Order
it was
of Oddfellows.
mercury.
Yeah, I think you're right. All with that same look too. Interesting, Gentlemen's Club. I have one more. This is them in their regalia.
Oh yeah, they have like a sort of like an old timey. They look like they should be in the British Royal Navy in the 1780s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I thought it was the British
with those crazy hats.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they were.
Kathy Childers is saying mercury. Yeah.
Confirmed. Thanks, Kathy. Yeah. Yeah. Interesting though. Interesting the presence alone and how official their presence appears to be.
Awakening Soldier, Manhattan, Mad Hatter. Yes. There you go.
Mm. We may have already seen the school. I'll keep moving here.
Big.
Mm-hmm. St. James Presbyterian Church, again, scorched.
Yes, and we're looking really old. Scorched or not, looking really, really old.
Yeah.
And there's that detail again.
Yeah.
Those little turret thingies.
And standing the test of time, too. Like, this is a modern photograph, and these things, you'd think there'd be some sort of failure going on in here, maybe, and these things would start to crumble.
Structurally unsound, we had to knock them down. Nope.
Still
there. Yeah.
If we built it in the modern day, those wouldn't last. I don't think we have a very good means for that.
Or perhaps if this was in a really big city or a boom town city like Calgary or a bigger city in Canada or elsewhere in the realm for that matter, they would have perhaps knocked those off by now, if not the entire building.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But because it's, Charlottetown isn't that huge, they can keep it around, maybe.
Maybe they will now that it's on the. We've put it on the map here with this Canuckleheads broadcast.
They're starting to ask questions, eh? We better get rid of those doodads on top of that thing there now, eh, bud?
There's the hotel I showed earlier. That the rendering of it. This is why would you sell a postcard that just obscures the building with leaves? Why would that ever be?
Yeah, here's a postcard of some trees in front of the building.
It's
nice
ridiculous.
Trees. What are those? Birch? I think that's birch.
Yeah, they are. I think you're right.
It's beautiful.
You're
We
trying to
don't get
highlight.
those out here. We don't get those out here.
So it should read Canadian silver birch. Charlottetown.
Yes.
Because who cares what's behind it? Because you can't see it.
Uh,
You guys have officially made me lose my marbles!
God bless that kid.
Yeah, here's that same scene we saw earlier, or same view almost, with the paved streets now. Right?
Yeah, Queen Street, the main high street, the main drag, I guess. What's that
All
big behemoth in the background?
We're getting there.
In the middle of the photo there. What
It's the city hall. We're getting there. Don't you worry.
Behemoth.
We're getting there. Prince of Wales College. This is looking like an old worlder, I think, with the bricks.
Yeah, that's been kind of gussied up a little bit.
Yeah.
Given the old Victorian tart up.
A trim and a shave and
Yeah,
all the rest
shave
of it.
and a haircut, 2 bits.
That's it. Yeah, take the top hat off this time. Yeah.
Yeah, don't just cut around the hat.
There's the I think that's the hotel that we just saw in the postcard. So
Team Heat. Sorry, I always have to scream out certain names. It's
yeah,
like
no worries.
like a tick I have.
Would you stop apologizing?
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay, St. Dunstan's Cathedral. Let's get to it.
Wowee! Come on, man. This is in Charlottetown, right?
Oh, I should have dug up the year it was built. I didn't. Sorry, guys. It's definitely 1800s.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Wow. Look at the embellishments and the ornamentation on the top of that thing.
Let's just take a nice scander.
And all the somatic patterns, not just in the big main window, but in the tops of the flanking windows.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Somebody had keen ability to draw, and
Whoever the glass cutter was for that project was a master.
Amazing, eh?
Look at all the nodes and bobules and doodads all up there too, man.
Were you guys expecting this for such a small city? Look at that. How do you finish this? My God. Just imagine the amount of scaffold that would have surrounded this for such a long period of time. You think somebody would have snapped a photo. But nay.
10,000 people.
10,000 people.
How many of that population, what percentage of that population do you think were construction workers? Skilled, and then, your basic construction site laborer.
Yeah. Right.
500? 1,000 on the entire island? And a population of 10,000? That's 10%. Maybe in modern days in a boomtown, I don't know. That's a lot of people working on projects, man.
What do you think? I wonder if these are marble all coming down the side here.
Well, that's the other thing that I love is that you always find great interior shots too, because it's one thing to look at the outside and just be gobsmacked and kind of think like, what the heck in the who, the what now? But then when you see the interior shots, and that's because it's still standing too. It's a modern shot. You see it in all its colorful glory, and you're like, wow, it just makes it more of a head scratcher,
Looks like they've covered from here to here. They've definitely covered the original parts up.
John Michael Murphy's raising a point that we talk about all the time. Again, Canada, eh? You're going to have, depending where in the country you are, you're going to have 4 to 7 months of winter. Plus, let's say 2 weeks to a month of spring where it's raining and it's muddy. You just can't work on the job site.
I absolutely agree.
Not hauling heavy stones and steel beams on a horse and wagons. They're going to sink up to your axles in the mud.
Yep. I think whatever cataclysms have happened here, the weather systems, everything was altered, I think.
Yeah. Yes, and as Marilyn's saying, please welcome to the Knucklehead Show, episode 9, looking at old Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. please give a like, share the stream, subscribe if you're new, and if you are new, welcome. Appreciate you coming by and joining us here. I'm Frankie from New West Reset.
And I'm Chris from Old World Exploration.
And this is our monthly show, the Knuckleheads. Happy belated New Year out there to everybody, by the way. This is our first show, Knucklehead show of the new year.
Now, I got a little more information on this one. St. Dunstan's Cathedral here in Charlottetown. Supposedly, the original was built from 1897 to 1907, that decade where the population declined.
Yes, of course, because that makes sense.
Okay. But the present stone structure supposedly was built from 1913 to 1919 after you finish my sentence for me. After a blank.
A great fire.
After a fire destroyed the original cathedral in 1913 is the story.
Well, I have a few photos of a fire that I'm going to quickly share when you're done with your your file folder here. Not no hurry at all, by the way. Take your time because these are very juicy. But yes, from a fire, but from a different fire. Because, you know, Charlottetown, I guess, was so special that it had to have two great fires. One wasn't enough. But we'll get to that later.
Busy place. Okay, let me show you. So apparently this is a picture of the cathedral after the fire in 1913. It's not a bad photo, actually. You could kind of say, okay, that's legit. And then I found a couple postcards.
By the way, could you imagine the additional damage of putting out a fire in the winter? Because you got to use water, eh? You got to use water to put out the fire there, eh, bud? Right. And then what happens? It freezes and it F's up everything even worse.
Yeah.
Because it gets into every nook and cranny and crevice and crack, and it expands when it freezes.
So they recorded, apparently, the burning of the cathedral and made it into a couple postcards. Now, let me see.
That's lovely. I guess to hand out in the Charlottetown Dominion Exposition. Sell them for 10 cents a piece or something.
Apparently.
Penny a piece.
Does this look like...
Wait a second. Wait, what?
It's on fire. Come on. It's on fire.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure that is not quite legit.
What the hell is that?
We got one more here too. And this is another depiction of the church on fire, cathedral on fire.
Call me crazy, but these photos might be manipulated.
Oh, come on. You'll say anything to fit your own narrative. You'll say.
Looks like it was scratched on by a cat. Just put the negative on the floor and let Mr. Fluffy walk over it a couple times. Hey, that looks like the cathedral that burned down. All right, let's sell them for 2 bits a piece.
Actually, you know, it reminds me of, remember you take the aluminum foil and then you'd rub it with the wax? Remember you'd rub it?
Yes.
You'd scratch in a picture? I think that's what's going on here. Yeah. Anyway, St. Dunstan's Cathedral, magically rebuilt in the 19-teens. And do you believe that?
Good question, Sage. Dragon Sage says the website says it was built in 1721. So what was the population then? Yeah, exactly. Who knows? 1,000 people? 1,500 people? Like
sloppy narrative, isn't it? It's sloppy.
It would have been fishermen and French fur traders and indigenous First Nations peoples, comprised most primarily by Mi'kmaq.
Or so we're told, right?
And then some, I don't know, some British Catholic Church missionaries, maybe. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway, the old narrative. Gotta love the old narrative. I love the horse and buggy pics. I'm really starting to. I love to show the difference, you know.
Yeah, massive. Not even the church, but then the next building over, 3-story brick building.
And that.
And then that big one there. And then another big one in the background. And it's all done there by Ted. Ted the horse.
It's time to put Ted out to pasture. I think he's had enough of the hard work.
Ted and Seamus O'Houlihan and his cart.
Seamus. How did
Seamus
you know that
O'Houlihan.
was Seamus?
It's Seamus O'Houlihan. Come on, it's Prince Edward Island. It's got to be Seamus O'Houlihan.
Okay, we've come to the city hall at last.
Mm.
Yeah.
Look at this thing.
It's a 1-year wonder. Okay, let me just read out the Wikipedia to you guys here. It was designed by architects John Lemuel Phillips and Charles Benjamin Chapelle in the Romanesque Revival style.
A couple of Frenchies.
Yeah. Built by contractor William H. Fraser, beginning in 1887, and was completed in 1888.
Okay, one year to build this. What year? Sorry, what year was that?
1887 and 1888.
1887 and 1888. So yeah, right in that 10,000 population Goldilocks zone, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
What's with the giant, massive arched there with the big, huge doors?
They're saying the fire hall. There's a fire hall part of this building.
So that's the fire hall portion of the. Oh well, okay, I can.
Hold on.
Sure, I guess.
Okay, well look at the modern day. They've added this bit here. Looks like. Right.
Yes.
We'll go back here. So they still had it.
So it was a fire hall before, and did they expand the fire hall?
Looks like it could be very open concept, doesn't it? All these look like they might do the same thing.
Yeah, but those other doors on the front of the street, even in the old photo, it looks to me like it's stairs going up to a door flanked by windows.
Here. Yeah,
yes.
You're right. But that could all have been altered.
Of course.
I'm speculating.
And then they left those other ones unaltered and said, yeah, it's fire hall.
And they've chopped off the chimneys. You can see that here.
Oh, yeah. And the quote-unquote flagpoles,
Mm.
which probably were just some kind of ether antenna. And otherwise, if they're flagpoles, why remove them? Why not have flags on them?
Mm-hmm. So in 1887, 1888, they just banged this baby up.
In 1 year.
With a city of 10,000 people, maybe not even.
And they could put that old clock in front of it, too. One of those old steam-powered clocks or whatever.
Yeah, those are fantastic. I like those.
There's a lot of those in Canada, too. There's one in Gastown in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
There's one in Winnipeg. I think there's one in Toronto.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have them all over.
They have one in Montreal. There's one here in Calgary. I think there's one in Edmonton, too.
Yeah. Part of the old world, right? Here's the new Queens County Jail, the old new Queens
it's a jail. I thought that was a school.
Well,
I guess depending on your point of view, I don't know. But no, all joking aside, I thought that was a school.
Absolutely. No, at first glance, I would suspect that was a school as well. So.
You know what? To be specific, a residential school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it has that look to it, doesn't it?
Yes.
It sure does. Yeah. Let me show you the hospital, the old Charlottetown Hospital. One of the hospitals.
Yeah, because you got to have a copper dome on your hospital for some reason.
Right. This is hard. This one is difficult to find, I'll tell you.
And those are pillars. Like those are freestanding pillars. Like they're not reliefs carved into the building.
On each corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could find no information on this. I don't think it's supposed to be online. This one was supposed to have been buried, but I found it on a postcard website.
Wow, man.
Well, so at the turn of the century, they have asylum that could house however many hundred people. They've got hospitals that could easily treat how many patients? Several hospitals. You've got all these schools. You've got
the buildings seem way too large for the populations we're given of this time period. Again, 10,000. That 10,000 population window.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a fraction of the town I live in, and I can't see us putting together something like this. Not without major fanfare and a good half a decade, or maybe 2-3 years, maybe, to try and figure this part out here. Mm-hmm. And then this part we wouldn't even bother because we wouldn't know how to put it together. Or it wouldn't look anywhere near as ornate. It would just be plain.
Ancient One's asking, real question. The cathedrals are amazing, no doubt. Hasn't the Catholic Church had unlimited wealth and could afford these unbelievably ornate structures? Definitely old world. I would say yes and no. I think, yes, they've, the church, the crown, all of these big bodies of power, for lack of a better term, have had unlimited or near unlimited wealth to reclaim these buildings and then to therefore dictate the narrative and to repair them, maybe fix them up, re-embellish the buildings with the ornate lipstick on a pig sort of thing.
Mhm.
But I know, well, I think I can speak for Chris and myself to say that generally speaking, maybe not all of these buildings, but a lot of the buildings that we feature on our channels and on this show, our joint show, we would speculate would be pre-crown and pre-church coming to the quote-unquote new world here, and that these were built by an ancient civilization that had knowledge of these building techniques. And some of the old tech was part of their knowledge as well. And it was shorted out or fried out or busted out or mud flooded out by some kind of series of catastrophes.
Yeah,
and then was later reclaimed by the church and the crown and different authorities, depending what country, right? And repurposed and re-embellished. But the cheap, ornate versions that don't have the form and function that the old world did with their decorative details, more just form, almost like a mocking of the old world.
Yeah, I think these are the guilty parties, the ones that inherited these power structures, the Vaticans, the royal houses, the bankers, all of these are the ones that are dictating the direction of the realm we find ourselves in today. And I don't think that it doesn't matter how much money you have to throw at a project, you still have to have the resources and the manpower to carry it out. So you can't just say, well, they had a lot of money, so it was easy to do. It still has to get done.
Yeah. No doubt that the money makes it much easier because, I mean, you could, of
course,
in theory, you could gather up a bunch of skilled workers, throw them on a ship, especially if you're England, right? You could transport workers from one of your colonies to another. You could blitz an area, fix stuff up, build stuff, erect new stuff, fix old stuff, whatever, establish some kind of infrastructure, whatever needs to be done. And because you're the controlling elite power, again, whether it's crown or the British flag or the church or whatever, then you could just move on to the next project and, bring in different waves of skilled workers to work on different projects. And yeah, shout out, by the way, to you, Chris, my buddy Chris, for your book.
Yeah, thanks.
Corky Goss says, I have to jump in and say kudos. Loved Chris's book. Knowing folks question this stuff makes me happy. We need to respect these builders and artists.
Yeah, it's something we need to hold in our heads, how amazing these structures were and are. That's why I focused on the demolished buildings, the ones that no longer stand, right?
Yeah, which will bring a tear to a guy's eye more than a big basket of onion rings from Dairy Queen. And I, by the way, today, about an hour and a half before we went live today, received my second edition, 101 more.
Yeah, another 101. Another.
Yeah, another 101.
Yeah,
so I have volume 101, and now I have another 101.
I have them on Lulu now. I'm not on Amazon anymore. Amazon gave me the old heave-ho. Something very unclear about their terms of service.
No big surprise, I guess. I guess that means you were doing something right.
Yeah, they don't feel the need to explain any reasons. They just tell you what to do and get the hell out of here. So
arbitrary reasons of, well, it's our website, so go pound sand, I guess.
There was something in there about if you're sharing stuff, if you're charging people money for stuff they can find freely online, they can view that as a violation of terms of service. So I think that's what they hung their hat on and they got rid of me for. Yeah,
it's a shame.
Yeah, well, Lulu's doing. I think Lulu's doing a good job anyway. So, if anyone's interested and hasn't got the book, there's two of them, 101 and another 101. That's sort of my. If anybody wants to support the channel financially in any way, that's the way they can do that for me. I'm not saying I need money for anything. I'm not going out doing crazy boots on the ground. I mean, I got 3 kids to raise, so I got a 9 to 5, and I'm doing that. This is what I do on the side for fun. And if you want to support me in any way, get yourself a book out of it at least. So,
Link is in the box in the chat.
Thank you
for Chris's book, 101 Demolished Buildings in Old World North America. And that's again on lulu.com. And then from that same link, you can also find another 101 demolished buildings.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised to see how many print-on-demand options there were. Amazon is not the only fish in the pond. People need to know that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's just too bad you kind of got the vague runaround, you know.
Well, what's worse is any royalties I was to receive on the books I had sold at that point, they kept.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. That's about as bully as they come, I would say.
What the hell is even that?
So any of you out there thinking of doing something, I would stay away from Amazon altogether. I know the convenience is just ridiculously fast. Like, they were almost able to print the book after I clicked the button and sent them the file. It was amazing how fast they could get that done. So their convenience factor is what draws you in, sort of like Costco, I guess.
Yeah, and it's you gotta, sometimes you gotta pay to dance with the devil, or whatever that expression is. I don't know.
I should have stayed away from Amazon. I should have stayed away. I should have known better.
We're Canadian up here, We have crazy different expressions up here, and us knuckleheads up here in the north,
Yeah. I'm getting close to the end of the file here, by the way. About a dozen more photos, so I got a few more things to show you guys. This is the post office, so you have seen that.
It's huge, man. For such a small city, it's huge.
And that's a nice classic mansard again. With look at how detailed these are. These little.
Yeah, it's like the little acorn shape, I think, maybe, or pineal gland shape, maybe,
or maybe pyramidal.
Could be a conical dome, metal conical dome.
Yeah, and this is interestingly unique as well. The shape here.
Yeah, it's got like an arched dormer coming out of the roof line on it.
Yeah, right here. You're right. Yeah, there. Well done, Frankie. Well done. You're architecture major, are you, at the University of Calgary? Is
that's absolutely incorrect. No.
Oh, I love it. Well, you nailed that one anyway. So here's another one of those. Maybe it's the same one. No, I don't think it is. What do you think?
That's a different one.
What is that?
The other one was further in a park, further away from a building.
You're right.
Again, all I could guess is maybe it's a water fountain, but
bird bath? A covered bird bath?
Maybe it's just a super. I mean, you gotta do it up Canadian style and have a dome and a cupola on top of your bird bath, bot?
Yeah.
Keeps the snow off the birds while they're having a bath. I don't know, man.
This is the post office again, right? So, who's this fella? What do you think this guy is?
I don't know. He's got a pretty killer mustache, so I'll give him that.
He does. Like he must be an odd fellow of some sort. Yeah. Okay, this is the provincial building. We saw it earlier on. Look how dirty it was here. I think this is from the 70s. This picture.
Might want to get a pressure washer or sandblaster or something out there.
Not a bad idea.
Something.
And I found this.
Even just a bunch of people with buckets of hot sudsy water and some wire brushes. I don't know, something.
Get scrubbing. Get a genie man lift and get scrubbing. Right? Forget the scaffolding.
Public
This
Works
is
project.
underneath. I think these are connected underground. These we saw them all in a row. These are the tunnels underneath the provincial house, under this place here.
Oh, tunnels under a government building. I'm shocked.
Are you shocked? Yeah, yeah. You didn't see that coming, did you?
But not brick, stone.
Yeah.
And arched
Yeah.
ceiling, stone.
Connected. All of those connected. Yeah. Yeah. There it is
Now,
again.
okay, if they tell you that it's, at the foot of a hotel or at a hotel, they could say, well, during the Prohibition, it's to get that Canadian whiskey moving around from building to building. And you could almost sort of say, well, okay, the normies at least could write that off. But why would you need that underneath a government building that was built, by the way, before it was designated a government building? So who knows what it was originally built for?
Good point. In the 1840s, this was built.
Before they even hosted the Confederation meeting.
But before they even knew how many people lived in Charlottetown, apparently.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a good one. A little bit of nature's. Is it nature or is this post-cataclysm remains? Melt heads out there.
Looking like some joinery, potentially.
Yeah, right.
And
you can
some
see
right
the
angles,
lines.
maybe.
Interesting. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Kathy just mentioned she just bought my book. So I don't want to come across as a salesman. So I don't want to push it on people, but I certainly appreciate you guys buying the book and your interest, obviously, in the subject, for sure.
Typical modest Canadian. Come on, take off, eh? Come on, buy the book, people, or I will come to your house and I'll with 6 kids and play street hockey in front of your house until all hours of the night. Even when the street lights come on, I'm not going to go home. I'm going to be noisy.
Yeah,
I'm going to wear my Montreal Canadiens jersey.
We'll drop some F-bombs if we have to.
Right in front of your house. And you'd be like, there's Frankie again with those kids. I better buy that book.
What do you think here? Grout lines between bricks? Possibly.
Looks interesting. And an arch there. They'll say it's a cave that the crashing of the sea created. But
yes, this has been sitting like this for however many, eroding slowly over 60 million years. And they found a triceratops skull over back here. So we know for sure that it was 60 million years.
Yeah, because there was a dinosaur inside it.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. Largest. Okay, this is a photo from 1866. I didn't want to steal your thunder with your
no,
fire
that's all
narrative.
good.
Apparently, this photo from 1866. So
that's early on, even in the world of photography.
I'll leave that part for you. We can.
That's a different one than I had, so it's all good.
Okay, we saw this from a different angle earlier, so I'm getting close to the end here. Yeah, 3 more photos. Here's another church.
Wow, man, look again, the angle and the steep, like the very extremely steep angle of the steeple, and then again those elongated cones, conical domes on top of those.
Tapered almost, this one too, right?
Yeah, yes, actually, yeah.
Let's get a little closer.
And 8-sided, maybe octagonal.
Now, what kind of religion is this?
Sun god.
What the heck is that doing?
No, that's the great turtle that breaks the earth out of the water on his back. Yeah,
maybe
it's the great.
It's the Turtle Island, maybe Turtle Island. Yeah.
Could be. That's a big mystery.
I think this is supposed to be Presbyterian. I'm not. It's St. James, but I can't remember.
It's beautiful. Look how. See, now that's a big door. Even though again you got to go up probably 6-7 stairs, but that's a big door. Because look how little the people are.
Yeah,
I mean, some of them are kids, but
there's a person right there. Yeah. So the door stops here. This guy would probably be around here.
Yeah.
So that could be a 12-15 foot door
with a somatic window above the door. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Beautiful.
Amazing. Early photo too.
Mm-hmm.
But amazing architecture. Amazing.
Oh, that wasn't mud flooded at all. I mean, look at the goofy ground on that thing. How it's all undulating.
I love the little slits.
Basement window. Yeah, come on.
Window slits.
Get out of here with that.
Yeah. This is puffy, like marshmallow. This one feels like marshmallow. St. Paul's Church. And yet another church, not the same as the one we looked at. Looking very similar, but not the same.
It's ridiculous.
Again, You like that?
Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
That thing looks like it should be another. There's another full floor. Like, okay, even if you want to say it, no, there's a basement in there. Okay, I'll give you that. There's a basement under a first floor that's buried. So I would say you got to go down like 12 feet.
But remember that layer of red mud we saw way early on in the slideshow? If we do a little bit of science here, I hope you guys can roll along with me as I attempt to
do a little bit of a mental exercise. Sure.
Yeah, a little bit of a measurement here. So let's look at this layer here. Let's just say the mud layer stops here.
Yeah.
Here's a person. That looks taller than the person, not by much. What would you guess be in feet, let's say?
10. I would say 10 feet.
10's a good
because
shout.
because of perspective, right? The guy is slightly more in the foreground of the photo.
Look at you. You don't.
But that's perspective, eh? That goes back to the Renaissance there, eh, Bot?
Let's not get into perspective. That was the shape of the realm and all that. We'll leave that alone. Okay, so let's add.
Wait! I got this can of worms here. I just want to open up for a sec, there, buddy.
We've already been going for 2 hours. We can't open that can. We can't.
We'll put a pin in that can.
That's right. So 10 feet down. You know what? Kind of feels about right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Another floor
for the original main floor, and then maybe 8 feet, another 8 feet for a foundation basement. Sure.
Yeah.
So 18 feet.
Bet it goes pretty deep. I bet you there's all sorts of stuff going on in there.
Because it looks very top heavy and very stumpy to me.
It does, yeah, it does. That's
especially when you look at the opulence on the inside. Right.
Yeah. Well, this one is St. Dunstan's, the cathedral we saw earlier. I thought I had the interior of this one, but then this actually too is, again, we got different cones, so different church again.
And look at a tricolor cones.
Yeah, loving the octagonal dome too, or cone.
And again, super steep. Oh, that's to keep the snow off her, eh, Bot? You'll just slide right down, eh?
That's right.
And again, a weird tech thing on the top of that spire.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like a cross. I don't know what it is. It's a ball with some weird thing. I don't know.
Receiver, some sort of receiver. Anyway, that's my slideshow. I'll hand it back over to you.
That's fantastic. Thank you, sir. Where'd you go? He just took off, eh? Oh, he'll be back. He'll be all right. I just had a couple of photos, and Chris touched on them really quickly. Was with the Great Fire. No, not that Great Fire. The other Great Fire.
I'm back.
How's it going, eh?
I pressed the wrong button.
Well, I've done that before. It's not hard to do on StreamYard, actually.
It's true.
Because a lot of the function buttons that you use, like to mute and this and that, are all right next to each other.
Yeah. They look the same too.
And if you do a split screen like I do, right, where half my screen is StreamYard, and I have another tab open, and that half is the HooTubes, and I can bounce between HooTubes and Rumble too, right?
Man, that's a lot of juggling, though. A lot, it's a skill.
Well, I don't know if it's a skill.
It's
it's controlled chaos, eh?
Yeah.
But I have. Where are we here now? I have just a few photos. I don't have tons. I just have a couple.
Yep.
Did I just open that tab and then close it?
Must have.
No, I didn't. There it is. It's just got ahead of myself. A guy got ahead of himself a bit.
Oh, we haven't shown it. I thought you were showing it.
No, I haven't even shared it yet. I thought I opened up a new tab and was fixing to get ready to share it. And then I accidentally closed the tab, but I didn't. It's right here.
Hey, we should say hello to JJ in the chat there. JJ Organics. It has been a while.
There she is. Hello. Jello. That's right. Jello, JJ.
Good to see you.
Howdy. Welcome. Joe Cool, actually, too. There he is. Joe Cool in the box as well. Joe Cool.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Thank you. Yeah. Shameless plug. Speaking of being a humble Canadian, I'm terrible for promoting my own channel.
It's so embarrassing, isn't it?
I know. These people can't even see my face when my cheeks get all red and embarrassed and get all flush. I'm shy. Ridiculous. Anyway, this is a 1864 Charlottetown conference. These are the delegates that got together in that wonderful big building with the big pillars. That
photo's from 1864.
Apparently so. This is the meeting that kicked off the Canada would become Canada. There's Sir John A. Macdonald right there. He would be our first prime minister. You see.
You know, this photograph is better than most construction photos from the 1920s and 30s that I've seen.
This glorious drunken Scottish bastard. God bless him, Sir John.
He's our Washington, right? He's our George Washington.
Yes, he is our George Washington. Absolutely. That's a good call. We got a top hat over here. Oh, top of the morning. Yeah. There's another one. A few top hats. This guy's holding his top hat. He's holding his top hat. So these are all delegates from different provinces. This would be like your transportation minister, your finance minister, your lands resource minister. They're all kicking around the idea of who's going to be led into what would become Canada, eh?
Yeah.
And what the stipulations would be. Like, you got to have your own railroad.
Yeah. Got to have a hockey team.
Of course, eh? And a Tim Hortons.
And a Tim's.
You got to be able to make donuts, play hockey, and have a choo-choo. Otherwise, get out of here, eh? That's what took Newfoundland so long, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
They were too busy with screech and fishing. Anyway, 1866 was Charlottetown's first Great Fire.
Wow.
Yeah. Tore through, I think it was 8 square city blocks of the downtown, mostly downtown.
Okay, hold on.
Business district.
Back up a sec. They had 8 city square blocks in 1866.
I think it was 8 city blocks.
Why did they have that much infrastructure for that period of time?
Potatoes.
Wikipedia doesn't even go back into the 1860s. It says 7,000 in 1871, 7,800. So we don't know.
Potatoes and horse racing, Chris. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Looking very brickish too, as well.
Here. Let me. Here, let's do this. Let's do this. How about this? Link for this will be in the chat as well. This is an excerpt taken from the Herald, July 18th, 1866. Fire. It's our painful duty this week to record one of the most disastrous and destructive fires that has ever visited Charlottetown. Sorry, 4 blocks, not 8. My mistake.
Oh, okay.
My bad. 4 blocks.
Perfect.
In the most business part of the city, extending one direction from Dorchester to Water Street, and in the other from Pownell to Great George Street, comprising upwards of 100 dwelling houses and places of business. Destroyed, with the exception of 9 buildings, namely 2 brick building. Well, probably because she's made of brick there, eh?
Oh, yeah.
West side of Water Street, the Bonded Warehouse, also brick. The Osborne House, which was wood, but somehow dodged on that one. Mrs. Hudson's house somehow made it. McQuaid's Taylor. The Redding's Red Warehouse. A couple of other buildings. So they even know which buildings survived. Which is kind of neat.
That seems pretty detailed.
Well, yeah. What started it? No, that detail we don't know. This is from the Islander, a local paper on Charlottetown itself, or from Charlottetown itself. A large part of Charlottetown has disappeared. Early on Sunday morning, a fire was discovered in an old house situate on eastern side of Pownell Street. And in a few hours, nearly all the buildings on 4 squares of the city were completely destroyed. The fire extended at right angles eastwardly from Pownell Street. We're bounded on one side by Water Street, on the other by Dorchester Street. They looked up every building except for 2. 1 brick warehouse. So only 2 buildings in this article.
Inconsistencies abound.
Yeah, well, are you shocked and surprised?
I am not.
I was just going to say probably not. So some conflicting reports on that. But yeah, so they had 2 great fires. 4 city blocks, a few houses, and then a few businesses. So you know, it was. I don't know why they got so lucky that they had 2 great fires. That's rough.
Well, you know, you gotta maybe they're explaining away some of the destruction in those early days. Those odd fellows writing the scripts, right?
Well, yeah, that's right, because there was an overabundance of odd fellows.
Sure
for some
was.
reason.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll quickly get back to, because again, it's just a couple of photos that I have from the fire. So this is the 1866 fire taken in July 15th of 1866. So really early on photography.
Yeah.
Oh, there's railroad. That's right, too. I have some train stations on here. Because again, they had their own choo-choo.
Mm-hmm.
And all the infrastructure that goes along with it. With like this, you know, little small, tiny, modest little train station.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because you
Several
know,
stories.
Yeah. Again,
Brick and
with this
stone.
very familiar roof line with the dormers and, you know, horse and buggy era.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, the old-timey racetrack. All this for such a small little... What's this, by the way?
Yeah, what? Zoom it. Let's have a closer look. Maybe that's the globe? Introduction of the globe.
They're rolling out the globe for everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody, guess what? Turns out it looks like this.
Or it's a satellite.
And everyone's like, huh?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Terror Dome, is like with the guys on Harley Davidson's whip around in there,
Oh!
like you see in the Circus Midway.
With horses, though.
Yeah, well, of course. They take some of these race horses because they're real fast, you see. That's where you get horsepower from.
That's right.
The horses run loop-de-loops in there? I don't know.
Maybe one day we'll get a comment telling us what it actually is.
Here's an old
cool
timetable
1899.
from the train.
Mm-hmm.
So not exactly a ramshackle organization, the Prince Edward Island Railway. This tiny island, very highly organized with their railways and canals, by the way.
Wow.
With the, you know.
Really? Cool.
So this is the timetable, gives you all their fares. It gives you stops at each station. Here's one of their... They had the small gauge, by the way. Later on, they upgraded to standard gauge, but
Oh, yeah.
they had the narrow gauge.
Cool.
Yeah. Pretty impressive for
a wee
tiny
island.
island that gets left off the maps.
Yeah, it's just a wee island, the size of a potato, a big potato.
That's right. Well, that's where they come from, you see, is the potatoes. And again, remember a while back we were talking about Tragically Hip and the song Road Apples?
Yeah.
And how the album has a picture of a horse on it?
Ah, yes.
And I was saying, well, road apples means horse poop.
Yes. Yeah, okay.
So, you know, it's like road apples. You know what the French word for potato is?
Pomme de terre.
Pomme de terre, yes, which is potato of the earth or ground potato. So you have, you know, apple, road apple, potato, horses, horse tracks.
Where are you going with this? You're tying it all together, aren't you? You're putting a bow on it.
It's a pretty stretch pretty thin.
No, you put a fancy bow on it, I think.
It's spread about as thin as wartime marmalade, I'll tell you that. Yeah. Jabaroo Joe in the chat, of course. Where's the Minister of Potatoes in that photo with Sir John A? I'm pretty sure, well, there's the agricultural minister, but I'm sure that his speciality was the glorious Prince Edward Island potato.
It's very Irish, I'm sure, the Minister of Potatoes.
Funny how not a lot of potato booze coming off of the island for some reason.
A shine of some sort.
Even though they're famous for potatoes, why not vodka? Doesn't vodka come from potato?
Yeah, you can make vodka out of potatoes, yeah.
Isn't the eastern part of Canada quite well known for being heavily populated by, you know, immigration from different countries, including those that would be vodka producing nations?
Yeah, I don't. It's possible. I don't think I have an answer for you.
I mean, we see breweries all over the place, and we see distilleries in Montreal and Toronto and
Yeah,
you
what do we have?
know?
Seagrams and some of those big ones, in Montreal or in
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then we have Molsons and Labatt's and all of that, but nothing, no Russian or Ukrainian immigrants that went to the Maritimes, saw all the potatoes and said, wait a second. I think I could make some pretty good hooch here out of this stuff.
They didn't have the patience, possibly. Maybe they didn't have the patience. I don't know. I shouldn't say that.
That just kind of struck me, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, well, wait a second, you know, part of the narrative of the new world is, you know, immigration from the old world, and part of the narrative of PEI is taters. So what gives? I don't know.
didn't. You know what? I didn't see that in the write-up for Charlottetown. Actually, the population demographics as far as who came there and when. You know, a lot of times they'll say a heavy influx of Irish came in the late 1700s, and then the Eastern Europeans came over, and you know, I didn't see so much of that in the write-up.
No, I mean, it gives you, in terms of, you know, modern census in 2021,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, you have like 30% Irish, or sorry, yeah, 30% Scottish, 27% Irish. See, no big surprise there. 21% English. I guess they mean British English or UK English, right? 12% Canadian, 11% French. You've got 4% German, about
So
5% Chinese, 4% Indian, 4% Acadian,
So
3% Dutch.
not very well represented then with the European continent. More from the British Isles, it sounds like.
Yeah, that's right. A little bit from Germany and the Netherlands. And then, of course, indigenous First Nations, right? Like, you know, not a massive percentage, but about 2%, which is quite high. But I'm going to hazard a guess that the majority of that would be the Mi'kmaq. You know, our oldest peoples in Canada. At least that's what I think from my research. Going back about 25,000 years by the, you know, the mainstream timeline, right?
Well, but who's to believe any of that, really?
Well, I mean, well, of course, we've
Yeah.
got to call it into question. That's all, pretty much all we have to go with, though, right? So
For sure, yeah. Well, you know what? Initially I thought, what, Charlottetown PEI was going to be like a 40 minutes tops. We're not going to be able to produce much of a show with that. Boy, was I wrong.
Well, when I was looking into stuff for my segment, I knew that there was certain narratives, potato for one thing, right? So when I was looking into interesting facts about Prince Edward Island or Charlottetown or both, you know, but sifting out the potato stuff, I got like surprised like hell.
Yeah.
You know, with you know, the whole racetrack thing.
Racetrack thing is weird. Yeah.
And the horse cookies. Sorry, Dragon Sage. Horse cookies. You know, yeah, the racetrack thing, the independent railroad thing, hosting all kinds of meetings to do with Confederation, but not joining the Confederation for like another decade afterwards.
Provincial House built, what, 30 years before it became a province?
Yep. Yeah, just weird stuff like that, man.
With underground tunnels. Yeah.
A railroad, but no streetcar trolleys. You know, very, very being left off of maps.
Yeah.
You know, just very, very unusual and very, very interesting. So
I learned a lot.
This was a fun one.
It was, yeah.
It's like one of our best episodes ever, eh?
Ever.
So what do you think we should look at next? I know you're talking about, you had a couple of suggestions kind of thrown at you from some viewers of the show.
If there's anyone out there that wants to chuck a Canadian location in the chat, let's try that first, maybe.
And that, of course, again, that's not to say that we have anything against our favorite neighbors to the south, our American buddies, or for that matter, anybody over in the UK or Europe or Asia or anywhere else in the realm.
No,
it's just we're a couple of Canucks, and the Knucklehead show is just a
distinctly Canadian.
Yes, it's Canadian content, eh? We have laws in Canada. You got to have a certain percentage of your
and the
content.
CBC here, the Knucklehead Broadcasting Corporation, adheres to the law.
We got to have Canadian content up in Canada, eh? So that's it, eh? We gotta showcase Canadian land up here, eh?
Yeah.
Everybody likes to talk about Paris and Londinium and
New York,
New York.
L.A.
Yeah, well, what about Thunder Bay there, eh, bud? Let's
What about
have a look.
Saskatoon? What about
Let's look at
Saskatoon?
Moose Jaw there, eh, buddy?
Mhm.
Let's look at Red Deer. All these
Medicine
crazy
Hat.
names. How about Petawawa? You know, distinctly Canadian names. Pancake Bay there, eh, bud?
Athabasca.
There's I'm not even playing around with you good people. There's actually a place in Canada called Pancake Bay.
Is it flat or is it slightly curved?
Whatever Neil deGrasse Tyson says it is.
There, what did can of worms? Sorry, that was my mistake.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
All right, we should wrap it up probably.
Yeah, but yeah, absolutely. If you have any suggestions for places that you think are wacky or weird or very old world meaning in Canada that we should have a look at, definitely let us know in the chat. After the fact, if you're watching this after, and it's we're no longer live. First of all, thanks. Thank you very much. Second of all, put it in the comments below, eh? Let us know. Deborah Joe's saying Manitoulin Island. Get out of here. Is there really such a place as Dildo, Newfoundland? Take off, eh?
I'm going to do a quick search.
Okay. We're a bunch of CANUCKLEHEADS up here, so you wouldn't be surprised. You never know. Dragon Sage talk about Hamilton. He's going to do some videos on Hamilton. Do it. Do it. Fantastic. I always encourage. That's why I started my channel.
Yeah.
This is basically to say, hey, look at what I see around here, eh? And then have people go, I wonder what's going on in my city or town.
Yeah, and I should mention that too. If you do want to start up your own channel, or you want to present, and you don't even want to start up a channel, but you want to present something, contact me, email me. Happy to provide you with that space on my channel. I got a couple of looky-loos on my channel, so
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a great question. MJL, Michael Joshua Lewis in the box asking, does Canada have repeating names like Wagga Wagga and Wanji Wanji or Soy Way and like hundreds in Australia?
I can't think of any.
It's sort of repetitive, but because they're indigenous language, right? They're going to be in like Ojibwa language, or so you get like Petawawa, Ottawa. You get a lot of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or you get like Manitou, Manitoba. You get a lot of that sort of thing too.
I always like Chicoutimi.
Yeah, Chicoutimi. Yeah. You get
Shawinigan.
Yeah, Shawinigan. Yeah, a lot of places named. The language is based. It's either going to be Ojibwa, or it's going to be Sioux, or it's going to be Huron, or depending on where that area is, and depending on what nation of our indigenous First Nations. Because each had their own individual culture and language and way of dressing and way of living and distinct languages. So yeah, you're going to get sh in some places, and you're going to get wah in other places. And then lots of French thrown in there, of course, being Canada. And then, of course, a lot of UK thrown in there. You were saying earlier that one of your viewers had suggested a place. Sorry, what was it again?
Cambridge, Ontario.
Yes, Cambridge, Ontario.
I'm all for it. Yeah.
Yeah, when you mentioned that before we went live, I perked up a bit because I'm not that familiar with Cambridge, Ontario.
Well, let's do it.
But I know that isn't it similar to Cambridge in England in the sense that it's a university? Like there's a Canadian Cambridge University, isn't there? I guess we'll have to find out.
Well, you know what? Yeah, we'll have to do the digging. We'll have to. I can't say for sure right now.
So I think, that's right. Ontario has Wawa. That's right. Yeah, there's a lot of that stuff. General Canuck craziness going on up here in Canadian land, eh? And with that, I think that's going to do it. What do you think, bud?
Sounds good to me. It's been a blast.
Yes, as always, a lot of fun. So yes, thank you. Thank you to everybody. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Thank you to everybody who was tuning in and watching on Chris's channel, Old World Exploration. Links in the description, by the way. And thank you to everybody watching on my channel, New West Reset. Links down below as well. I'm going to post live stream, put the link in for Chris's book as well, so you can go and show him some support that way. And you can show both of us support by liking, subscribing. And again, emails and everything where you can contact us for if you want to chat or if you want some more info about how to reach Chris or myself for the show. And if you want to send us ideas. Because we can take all the help we can get up here, eh?
And we're nice guys. We're open. We're nice guys.
Well, yeah, we're Canadian. It's our default setting. It's our default
factory setting. It's a factory default setting. Yeah.
Right. It we're so sweet. It's because of all that maple syrup and donut, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Doubles from Timmy's. All right. So there you go. So thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. Appreciate it as always. And that's going to do it here for Knuckleheads episode 9, Old Charlottetown. So appreciate everyone. And thanks again, Chris. Always great chatting with you. And we'll see everybody next month for another episode 10 already, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, thanks everyone. Take care.
Take off, you hosers.
I think that was like our best show ever.